Витіваний вам біц. Wyczuwany wam beat.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Midwest R6. We are here in the round of 32 to start off our playoff series. My name is Mr. Rick, and I'm joined tonight by Lucas Membrane. Lucas, how are you doing tonight, man?
I'm doing great. I can't wait for a good game.
Yeah, well, we should have a good game lined up for us tonight. We've got Regents versus Trine JV. So let's go ahead and start by taking a look into the first of those two teams, the Regents Esports Club. Rutgers Regents, this is a team that I feel like has been around in Collegiate R6 for about as long as it's been here. They've never really had a major success throughout their history, and maybe this is the roster here that can help them get some success through Midwest R6. We've got Thunder, Valve, Sly, LaCroix, Bubba, and Anxiety. These players trying to make it big for their school and get some true success underneath their names.
Looks like our MVP tonight is LaCroix with 1.14 KD ratio, a 0.82 kills per round, and just overall looks like a very, very solid player.
Yeah, we've got ourselves a little bit of a quote here from LaCroix as well. Let me go ahead and try and find it really quick so that I can read it off properly. Here we go. On his expectations here, given how Trine University is as a team, they want to not underestimate their junior varsity team. And over the course of the season, they've been trying to get better practice so that they can feel really good going into this game. And given that it's his first year in collegiate, he has some insane plays and clutches. So he hopes that Trine JV is ready for this play. And when you're coming into your first playoffs as a freshman in the scene, and you're having the confidence to drop quotes like that on an established organization and school that Trine has been throughout collegiate Rainbow Six, that just shows a lot of confidence coming out from the players here. So it's good to see not letting your first playoffs necessarily get to you in your head.
That's a very good point. I remember coming into my first playoff game when I was a freshman here. Yeah, I was a nervous wreck. I was very anxious. I was like, what if I mess up? What if this happens? What if they're so much better than we are? I mean, we ended up, but kind of when I got into the game, that effect just kind of left, and I felt a lot better about it. We ended up losing, but it's good experience and everything. And to both of these teams, whichever one gets knocked out, it'll still be some very good experience very good exposure for both of their programs.
Yeah, you can play the regular season as much as you want, but until you get that experience in playoffs, you don't really get to feel the pressure. And a team that has definitely felt the pressure before is gotta be Trine. So we're gonna go ahead and pull up their team here in a moment. But Trine, including their junior varsity roster that's playing tonight, have been a very powerful team throughout Collegiate R6 for the last several years in my memory. And their players here with the junior varsity squad should not be that much different. We have that one Spore, Prism, Down in Smoke, Mick Thunder Dave, and Cryptic Plague. So these members trying to look at big, but especially their Trine Junior Varsity MVP, Down in Smoke. He's got a KT of 1.67, KPR of 1.12, SPR of 56.89, 127 total kills, and a survival rating of 33%. That KD, just in general, 1.7 is a phenomenal number to drop, especially for someone on a junior varsity roster who potentially within their collegiate career could try and make a varsity roster. That's a great stat to show, just to try and prove to your school and to the rest of your teammates in the collegiate space that you do have what it takes to be in part of that top tier collegiate talent.
All right, transitioning over to their expectations from that one Spore. He says, our expectations going into this match are to continue building better as a team to come out as victors. A man of very few words, but very concise and to the point.
Yeah, he's very concise indeed, but that's kind of what you expect out of a roster, and especially in something like Midwest R6, that's what we really want out of these teams, especially this early on into the year. I mean, the first semester is coming to a close, and of course, the second semester is always more important, and just being confident in building that communication and teamwork within your team is a very good thing to grow here in our league. We're going to head over to the map veto now. We do have a best of 3 tonight, so both teams get one map and a decider third map. We're going to start off with Oregon, which was the Regents pick, heading over to Cafe, and then deciding on Clubhouse should we need all 3 maps. Lucas, tell me about these maps, man. They seem like pretty common collegiate maps, but I want to know what your opinions on these are.
Yeah, so me personally, I'm not a fan of Oregon or Clubhouse, but once again, I'm not on these teams. I wasn't part of the pick phase. Oregon is a very, very interesting map, but it's a very highly played one with multiple floors, big and small tower, a lot of different angles. I feel like that's going to be the main map that really decides how well each team can cooperate, each team can move with each other, and just kind of how well the teams will play together.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of saying it, right? Oregon's a map that's been around for so long now that it really does just feel like a litmus test of sorts for how comfortable you are playing as a team, right? Every team should at least have a passable Oregon if you've been playing competitive together for, at this point, 3-4 months, right? It's the first map that almost every team learns because everyone's familiar with it from ranked, and you get those differences coming into competitive, right? You have to have organized clears, you have to have setups that make sense and working around each other, things like that. So that's definitely a good thing to have. I believe we are about ready to start our game, though. So if I'm not wrong, we should be heading into that shortly here. So the first part, of course, of all of our maps is those operator band phases. It looks like we do have a minute before we get into the bands. A little bit of issues with players in lobby, making sure that everyone's ready to go first. So we get a little bit of time to talk about operator bands. And I feel like Oregon, for as simple and as normalized as a map as it is, does tend to have some very interesting bans still, especially when you look at the attacking side, because there's not really one powerful operator on the attacking side. So you get these little flavor bans, right? You have teams that prefer to ban out floras and make deployable shields in hard bankered positions more powerful. You have other teams preferring to ban out Ying, kind of slowing down that execute style pace. So there's really a ton of options here when it comes to operator bans.
Yeah, I mean, that Flores ban is always it's a very common pro league ban. I see it very common in college esports, and I was once a Flores man. I was always mad about it. There was I bought Flores. I'm like, I'm ready to use him. Let's go. We can win this match. I know exactly how to use him. Boom, first ban. And I'm just like, okay, they're
Yeah.
target banning, but no, it's just it's a very common pro league ban. I do think Flores would be a very powerful ban, and I do think that it would do well for them. Speaking of defense bans, though,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that an Azami ban could definitely be in. She is very powerful. She can create a lot of angles, like extra angles that aren't even part of the map. And Oregon, as you know, already has a lot of angles to begin with. So I feel like an Azami ban is definitely going to be coming up.
Yeah, Zami is probably like the most universally powerful operator. She doesn't really care what map she's on. As long as she's being picked, there's always some value you can gain. They could remove all of the objects from the rooms and she'd still find value, like throwing the zombie barricades up on the walls and windows. It's just such an insanely powerful operator, being able to reconstruct the sites in that sort of way. And I feel like as part of that too, we've kind of seen Mira fall off in priority because she used to be the go-to reconstruct the site around Mira. But now that like teams have kind of gotten comfortable with Mira being banned consistently, as well as teams just learning how to play the maps better in general, right? Like the game's been out for longer now. People are just more comfortable playing against Mira and playing without Mira on your roster. So it's kind of more of like a flavor thing with how you want to use those Mira windows now. There's not really like if you don't pick Mira, you're trolling anymore. So teams have gotten that freedom in the bans there as well. Some other strong operators on defense that I want to talk about that are probably our most likely candidates for the ban. We got Fenrir, Solus, and Valkyrie. All three of those operators incredibly strong, especially on Oregon. I think Solus in particular gets a little bit of an extra buff, just because roaming on Oregon is kind of a difficult task to do. Because of the shape of the building, it's kind of like an L. You get condensed in how you gotta return back to your site unless you're willing to play all the way out towards something like small tower or big tower and just risk your life out in those spaces. So someone like a Solus who can give you that information on where the attackers are droning from, where their placed down utility is coming from, really can give you advantage on something like a roam.
Yeah, especially with sites, like second floor bunks. Basically, all the floor, apart from attic, is destructible, and even part of attic's destructible as well. So having Solus there, being able to scan the plant from underneath, throw an impact, or use shotgun, whatever, just that could definitely be a very, very powerful asset.
It looks like we do have all of our players ready for the match, so we no longer have to speculate about what these operator bans are going to be. We're going to go ahead and get ourselves straight into the game. Map number 1 between Regents Esports and Trine JV. Oregon starting up here now. So all of our questions get put to rest. We get to start with Trine's offensive ban before we head over to Regent's offensive ban. They've got a little bit of time here to talk it over and make sure they get the exact operator that they want off of the board, and they are going to decide on the Dokkaebi. Okay, not an operator that we talked about, but a very powerful anti-roaming operator in her own right. She comes equipped with a couple of phone calls that give away the defender positions, as well as the ability to hack the cameras that the defenders would bring should a player get caught off roam and they drop their phone on the ground when they die. The Regents attacking ban coming in tune. Probably going to be something more in line with what we were talking about before. It's going to be that Thatcher, not something we necessarily brought up, but it's a very similar role to the Flores in terms of denying utility away from the defenders.
That's Thatcher. I mean, they seem like very common rank bans. I want to go back to the Dokkaebi bit real quick. I feel like a lot of that, especially after she got buffed, defenders in support mode, I feel like that's the main reason why. And here we go. We have the Solus ban. Of course, as we were saying, very powerful out from beneath, a lot of destructible floors, so I think it's a very good idea to ban her.
Yeah, just a very potent operator across the board. And Fenrir does get banned. I kind of brought him up a little bit. We never talked about him. He brings proximity blindness mines, as I guess the best way to phrase it. He allows you to kind of control hallways and corridors. And if you think about a map like Oregon, 90% of it is hallways and corridors. You give away your position, you get blinded yourself, and then it becomes very hard to push past the thresholds that exist on a map like Oregon. So heading into round number 1 with Trine on defense, they're going to go upstairs first. This is actually a very interesting decision from them because I feel like most teams nowadays do prefer to start out in the basement. It's just a more structured site and it's a little bit harder to crack from the attackers. But if you as a team are just more comfortable upstairs, then you might as well start up here. And they're bringing some very interesting operators to keep themselves comfortable. The two I really want to talk about here is they've doubled up on electricity as well as being frost and thorn. So really committing to this trap-based utility, trap-based information game, as well as trying to keep all of the hard walls in sight shut.
Yeah, I completely agree. It looks like they're still trying to, as with Fenrir, they're trying to control as much of sight as they can, while not having Fenrir. Especially the Valkyrie with the cameras, I feel like that's going to be a very, I feel like that's going to be a very powerful thing.
Yeah, the Velkta coming out too, so there's just a ton of information here for Trine JV, and when you have this much information, it really enables you to play the game however you see fit, right? There's no right way for them for trying to go about this defense. They can now react to how Regents is attacking and adapt around it, which is a very dangerous thing if you're on the attacking side, because you're the team that is making adjustments around the defensive setup, but now that the defense has enough information to adjust around you, you're now having to counterplay the counterplay, so it just becomes a mind-bogglingly tough experience here. And the utility here coming out from Regents, I actually quite like it. They brought some good frag grenade utility. They got 2 ops that can do it. Because that Thatcher is banned, they're going to need to blow up this electricity from below. And while there's quite a lot of electricity to try and get rid of here, but with Oregon, how it's set up, it is doable. So this back attic clear here should be able to get underway in just a minute once they start throwing those nades up on the ceiling. But until then, we've got a minute down in the round, and well, just a little bit of entry work done for both sides.
And we already got a pick. Buck goes down. It seems right now that they're trying to push big tower. A lot of the upstairs kind of not really roam clearing, more so just going for the straight upstairs push. Kind of checking around corners, playing it slow, but very methodically. Looks like we almost have another pick here too. Cade is fighting the ace.
Yeah, just some chip damage being sent back and forth. They are managing to spot out that Valk camera in Master as well. So that's some information denied away from the attack, and LaCroix's able to grab the first one for the side of the Regents before being traded back out by Cryptic. So that walk up White Stairs didn't get called initially, but they were able to shut it down beautifully as Cryptic grabs a second one there as well. So this White Stairs secondary walk up not working out for the Regents. They weren't able to get that big tower wall open, so there's no attic pressure through. So those players trying to walk up White Stairs instead, they didn't do their proper diligence. You can see the drones are all completely denied, so they get shut down on it, and Cryptic just keeps control of those White Stairs. He's got himself a 4-piece for the round now. If he's able to find Anxiety here as well, that's going to be the full-on ace room. Anxiety caught in kind of a bad spot here. Just Trampton Master on his own. All of the walls and doors in front of him completely shut off to him, not accessible unless he's willing to commit fully into this push here, but he's got so much work in front of him, and he's sitting still. He's really hoping now that Trine is just going to give him something to make this round more winnable, but as the clock keeps ticking away, Trine's showing off that discipline that they have as a team. They're not letting him get away with any of these free picks that would make the round closer, and Anxiety, he's just going to let the round clock tick out. Give your team a bit of time to talk. Obviously, this round didn't go well for you, so make sure that the next one goes better.
Yeah, and I completely agree. That was honestly good play by Cryptic by not immediately going for that 5th kill, trying to get the ace. That's something I see all too common even in college esports, where, you know, they're on 4 kills, they're like, I need to get this ace, I need to get this ace, and they start playing a little stupid, end up, you know, just dying to a very bad way. Protect your bombs from being because, you know, getting kill hungry. So it's very good to not see that here.
Yeah, other things that went wrong there too, right? We never actually saw Regents get themselves set up to perform and execute. They didn't open a single wall, despite bringing multiple hard-breaching plus frag grenade utility to clear out spaces. They just weren't able to get into a position to do it, and now they're moving into the basement attack as well. And this is a site that truly requires an execute from the attack to be successful. You're not going to be able to just walk down the staircases and frag your way to success. If that happens, the other team messed up. You did not win the round. And so you need to have the utility and the wherewithal as a team to construct a proper execute, and they're starting out doing that correctly, right? You've got to get control of these roamers and work your way towards the site staircases without any losses, because if you lose any of this utility that you brought for your execute, it's not going to work. And they brought some very powerful pieces for that indeed. It's that Flores that we were talking about beforehand, so the setup on site can be blown up from a distance, and a very safe distance as this walk up from Shower Hall now, just getting themselves in the building. Regents working their way towards site.
Yeah, I think as of right now, they're playing a very good push. Flushing that Jaeger out of Big Tower, I feel like could definitely have a pretty big impact on the round, especially with the him no longer being able to roam as he wanted to. Push, you know, maybe as they get into sight and pick him off from the back. Looks like they're trying to go into Freezer now. Interesting push, very it's a decent push, but with the holes in the wall that Trine made, I wonder how it'll work out.
Yeah, I'm a little bit concerned right now, too, because you can't attack basement from one direction. The other members of Regents are just hiding out in bunkers. They haven't managed to clear any space so far, so this attack from Freezer is kind of just on their own, but now we're getting those rotations that they desperately needed in. They're getting more hatches open, and as well as putting this Lion and Habana in a position where they can actually impact the site as this main hit starts to come out from bunker. Thunder Valve walking his way up Elvo. They've reinforced the wall, kind of a mistake there from the defenders, as Lacroix gets the opening pick as well. So that player left out towards Freezer did successfully manage to work his way down. So now this attack towards Pillar being completely pressured out here. No defenders in this space, so they have to back up, and they've all clustered around this closet and mirror window. They don't have the utility to win the site off of this in themselves, so they're going to have to start swinging out and going for gunfights here in just a second as Regents get themselves ready to go for a plant. They are managing to trade out one, though. That one's Spore, able to clean up Lacroix. So that's a very powerful gunner for the side of Regents that's off the board now, and this flank coming in from McThunder Dave, if he's able to time this correctly, it could really shut down the attack. They're trying to work their way out, but they don't need to. Anxiety's in the site, planting in default, and they don't have the utility to stop it. We're going to be in a post plant here. Trine needs to get a move on. They didn't understand the position that they were in, and McThunder Dave's flank gets shut down immediately as Thunder Valve is just denying the hallway, and now it's just Hatbro left on his own. The Echo not able to deny the plant. Now he's going to do what's going to be very difficult. Find 4 kills on his way out of this round if they want to win. The first shot's not connecting. He's blinded up here as well. The end of the round is nigh. He does get one. Thunder Valve getting a little bit greedy there. Anxiety's next up, but he's able to win it. Regents take a very confident round 2.
Yeah, I think that was very, very good getting the plant down, because you see 4-4 with under 30 seconds left. It's very, very defender-sided at that point, but when you get the plant down, you are now on defense, and the defense is effectively on attack. And when they have to come, regroup, and try to push you off, it's a much harder task for them to do. So I think that was a very good play, being able to guard the Hibon and get the plant down.
Yeah, and I mean, you can't just you can't throw that out into a void without talking about how they were able to do that as well. And I feel like a lot of that comes to LaCroix. Despite him only getting 1 kill at the round, he was able to claim the entirety of Freezer just kind of by himself, and that pressure forced all of the members of Trine away from sight, and because they had reinforced Elbow earlier in the round, they felt pressure coming from Bunker, and they reinforced Elbow, which is a massive mistake. Please do not do that. If you're on defense, you are limiting the amount of angles that you're allowed to retake the site through, because you know that the attack is going to be going for that default execute at that point. You need the extra paths open and allowing yourself more space on the site. So little bit of mistakes coming out from Trine. I mean, this is the first tournament really of the fall semester, right? So you expect a little bit of nerves. Hopefully they can correct some of those. And I like the operator changes that they brought as well. Notably the Kaid, they've recognized that these hatches were a pain point for them in the previous round. So bringing the electricity to try and deny some of that space, as well as in very interesting Freezer-sided setup, means that this is going to be a little bit of a different round for Regents to try and crack.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I hope they learn their lesson about, being able to actually keep Freezer, because a one-man army should not be able to eliminate, one guy and then boom, everyone can push Freezer and they're, home free. So hopefully they learn their lesson, they can hold their angles a little better, or at least get those trades that they so desperately need, or that they so desperately needed in that last round.
A little bit of a slower start coming out from Regents here as well. They don't seem to have as good as information as they did the previous round. I'm not able to find these roamers quite as easily. Mixed Thunderdave, of course, has moved himself further up in tower, and he's choosing to stay here this time, which is normally not a decision that I like, but I think it's very good here, right? Regents have shown that they're a very slow team on the attack, and if you just sit in a position like this, they constantly have to be worried about you or spend over a minute now in the round just trying to isolate this player. And it's you can see the tax that it's causing on these players. They haven't cleared the building, they haven't walked up really anywhere. There's no utility happening because they're just so scared of this one player who's sitting in T3.
Yeah, I think the flank from behind is always something you've got to be worried about. So it's good that they're going for the player, but I'm afraid they may be using a little bit too much time. Look at that, we get our first pick. Cryptic Plague takes out Bubba right up Freezer Stairs. At this point, we see McThunder Dave is potentially going to start his flank, potentially going to start a roam. But Sly's got the angle down. And Sly gets the pick. It is now 4v4 with 45 seconds left.
Yeah, the clock just slipping away from Regents. They have no real map space. None of this utility has been dealt with. The shield and elbow still remain standing now, too, and Cryptic's able to grab a third for himself. He's got another chance at an ace here. I feel like that's all of the rounds that Trine has been in command. It's been due to Cryptic just absolutely destroying these attacks, and with a one-tap to LaCroix, he's going to continue that reign. It's now just Anxiety left in a 1v4 with 20 seconds left. This is a truly man versus the universe style of effort that is going to need to even come close to winning this round. And now we get to truly see the power of these mirror windows too. If they're placed properly, he can't peek angles safely. The Echo Room going to give his way position, but he's a little bit too slow here working up. 3 seconds left, you can't kill 4 people in 3 seconds. So try and get a very solid round 2 after it was a shaky round. I'm sorry, they get their second round on the board after a very shaky round 2.
I gotta say, that K killed 44, the semi-auto, that was dirty. There's no other way I can put that. It was nice. I love seeing it. But it was dirty, like... he still had bullets in his AUG too, so going with that, a little bit of a cheeky move, but obviously it worked out for him. They were up enough, I feel like it was... that he was able to do that without too much worry.
Round 4, we're going back upstairs. This is the first site we got to see out of Trine, and well, they're shaking it up just a little bit more. They've ditched those trap operators that they really used to get a stranglehold on the site previously, and in their place they're bringing Wamai and Vulcan. This Wamai, specifically, I really like on this upstairs site. It just lets you really breathe from the amount of utility that we're going to see the attackers bring out, or at least what the Regents showed they would bring previously. They've actually opted away from a lot of the fragmentation grenades and those throwable utilities that they had previously, and they've opted themselves into a Capita, which is a very execute-heavy operator that we don't get to see too often, as well as this Vulcan as well. Sorry. Yeah, Vulcan as well. The Goyo, those Vulcan canisters. I really like this pick from McThunder Dave as well. We've seen Regents be slow, and when you now have 20-second Molotovs on the side of the defense to really slow down the attack even further, there's a very good chance that Regents just don't touch the bomb site this round, and Cryptic on this roam is going to try and make sure that they don't get anywhere near the bomb site. He's been doing phenomenally for himself today on opening kills, and well, just kills in general. He's 8-1 right now in round 4, which is a very impressive scoreline.
Yeah, as we've seen, at least in the first 3 rounds, he either gets 4 kills or he dies, and Regents end up winning the round. That's how it's been so far. And he immediately goes down. We are at a 4-4, so he did end up getting end up taking out Thundervalve. He did end up taking out the Gridlock, but goes down to the Thermite, and Thermite doesn't even sustain any damage whatsoever. Could this be change the approach? Could this potentially change the outcome of the round? I guess we'll find out.
I mean, that's a very impactful first kill for Cryptic to find as well. The Gridlock off the board immediately means that now Regents don't have any preset flank watch, as well as those frag grenades are no longer an option on the board. These Capital bolts coming out really early, and they seem a little bit misplaced. They don't actually disrupt Spore from his position. Spore kind of gives himself up there and loses the majority of his health, trying to peek out the window. LeCrow getting those shots on to Spore, not able to take him down just yet as this dance around the big window's happening. But while this dance is happening, the clock has just been steadily ticking down, and these players are barely into the building. They finally have someone going towards Armory Stairs, but it's a very late in the round to try and contest that space. Those 2 Attic players have just a death grip over Trophy, and they're not going to be able to walk past the space, and I don't think that Regents are aware of this.
Yeah, as we were talking about, Regents is a slow, methodical team when it comes to attack, but with that Goyo, the extra fire, and pretty much everything else that is just happening, how well that Trine is holding down the site, I really don't think they're going to be able to pull this out.
Well, it's not over until it's over. They still have enough players and a health advantage over the side of Trine with this execute starting to take shape, but they're going to have to find such crazy utility value, and that's not the way to start it. Tatpro takes out Bubba. That Thermite is now gone, and once again, it feels like Regents just are not hard breaching anything. All of these walls just remaining shut except for this primary breach, but these players outside of Attic, they are just allowed to hold there, but somehow Anxiety sneaks into sight towards default plant, but he doesn't have the diffuser. The jump-ins from Big Window just completely shut down by McThunder Dave, and now we're left in a 2v2 as Anxiety on the other side of the map was able to clear things out and recover the diffuser. The Crow's able to shoot one down through the Big Window, jumping himself, and now it's just down in smoke. Left in a 1v2, but the plant has gone down successfully, so now a retake must come in. Down in smoke has had a little bit of a quiet game so far, but he's going to need to sing here if his team is going to establish themselves firmly in the driver's seat here. LeCrow walking over to Sly, trying to res that player, just kind of baiting it out a little bit, seeing what Down in Smoke's going to do, but they get the res off successfully, and now the odds even worse. A 1v3, he still hasn't moved out of his position. The clock's just been ticking away. Neither of these teams really grasping how the clock works in this game so far. And well, he's got a chart finding these players. He's not able to get past the first. LeCrow shuts it down. And Regents even out the scoreline.
As I said before, when the diffuser's down, defense is now on attack is now on defense. When you end up having to attack the diffuser, you can't just sit there. In a 1v something situation, you've got to be swinging, you've got to take those gunfights, you've got to use that time to get those picks. And that's not at all what we saw for half of the timer. Just sitting, holding the one angle, hoping that someone was going to swing him. I think it was very, very good. It was very, very good on Regents that they didn't swing him, because obviously they had the man advantage. Why would they need to go out blindly swinging, you know? So I think that was a very, very good play by Ben, and Trine may have something left to figure out if more rounds continue going this way.
Yeah, and we get to see this upstairs repeat as well. Normally not a huge fan of site repeats, but well, this is Oregon, so the other option that they have available to them are those mid-floor sites, and those aren't particularly defender-friendly, so it's not a surprise to see them come back here. I think what is a little bit surprising is that they've running pretty much the exact same lineup. They've subbed the Kaid out for a Frost now. I actually really like that, right? If you saw how Trine was attacking, or not Trine, excuse me, if you saw how Regents were attacking the site, I feel like 3 people just jumped in through big window. That one Frostmat on the window can really shut down the entire play if they choose to go for that again. But we need to see Regents now start prioritizing these walls being open. They're doing a solo hard breach this time. They've dropped off that thermite in favor of a lion, so Anxiety is really going to have to work these walls open, and I really want to see them open the attic wall as well. There are so many of these Trine players hovering around attic space. Leaving that wall closed is really just a detriment to yourself.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Going back to the Frost play, they also I see that they've also placed him at a very default spot, which is on the drop down from attic. I feel like if they end up getting open attic, they that very much could be a powerful Frost mat. However, they haven't really pushed big tower. They haven't really pushed that big wall. They haven't really done any of that. So it's kind of a curious play, considering they haven't really attacked in that way.
Yeah, they've kind of repositioned everyone over towards this master side, really just committing to the one-directional push. This is not the most uncommon thing in the world, especially for a team that's just starting to work together to do a one-directional push like this and really just try and make sure that the whole team is operating together. And I think it also makes sense if you look at the fact that Regents have brought nothing to assist them in flank watch. So all of these flanks have to be controlled by people in person. It's a lot easier to do that when you're just watching one flank instead of 2 or 3. LaCroix now looking to take this opening engagement against these attic players. The flashbang going to force them off of the angle, but Tatbro from down below is able to find Sly. That one lurk player that they had, the Finka, trying to work her way up white stairs, gets completely shut down, but this player is in position to stop big window jump-ins, and now LaCroix wants his chance at this 1v1 gunfight. Well, it looks like he's just going to hold them in position for now, but you gotta feel like he's trying to find this gunfight and isolate the 1v1 off-site, and he's not able to win it. That angle always favors the player in server, and Tatbro gets the frag there, leaving Regents in a 3v5 as they try and set up for an execute.
Once again, as we said, slow and methodical. 40 seconds, 3v5. They've really got to start making these plays a little bit sooner, because if they continue doing this, it's just 1v5 already. Cryptic picking off Bubba, and that one's for getting a kill as well. 1v5, it's looking awfully grim for them. Is he... Okay. I was going to say, if he steps on that frost mat, that would be a little... Now, with a 20-second fire, he's got to dash through it, or he's just got to save KD. There's no way around it.
15 seconds remaining.
Yeah, at this point you might as well just sit back or just hope that somebody from Trine gives themselves to you to get a kill. But Tatbro wants another one on his scoreline. What a phenomenal round from him, just really playing this underneath position very well and making sure that these attacking players don't have a chance to go towards white stairs, as that's truly the power of that server position. You have the hatch in the room with you to get out if you need. You can watch the big window jump-ins, and you can really make sure that the attack can't get themselves at a comfortable spot underneath the site. So very well played to him. We're going to head downstairs for our last round. This is a site that we've seen be 50-50 so far, with either side having a very dominant performance to win it out. And, well, this utility coming out from the side of Trine, pretty much the same, but they brought the Vulcan canisters with them. Goyo makes an appearance once again, and as we said before, I think stylistically it's just a very, very strong counter to how we've seen Regents play on this attack. But I think it's also worth noting that Regents have bought the Flores again this time. The round that they lost on the basement attack, they weren't able to break elbow shield. They weren't able to push any of this utility away because they didn't bring that Flores. So seeing him on the board really will boost Regents' chances of getting some good footing in this round.
Any time that there's a basement site on Oregon, when I'm playing ranked or I'm playing esports, I always pick Flores if he's available, because he's just very powerful, specifically on this site. I've actually there's been a lot of times, you know, they play a shield and elbow, Flores can get rid of, where they couldn't get rid of with nades because Jaeger were my devices. There are a few places that they could get stuck, and you could actually get a kill with a Flores drone. I've had it happen multiple times, so I'm not exactly sure that's what Flores will try to do, but I feel like it'd be a very interesting twist if we see one of those.
Yeah, we've already seen that value come out from Flores as well. The Elder Shield already gone, and we're not even 30 seconds into the round. This pace, just from the Flores being picked alone, is very strong here. The first Lion scan comes out as well to help the other players from the side of Regents just move into the building a little bit more successfully. And, well, down to smoke now, or down in smoke, excuse me, has a lot harder of a job here. These walls are being opened, and with the players upstairs now getting into position as well, that E-box hatch should be ripped open in a second here, and he's going to have to give up this mirror window entirely. This is one of the reasons that we've seen Mirror kind of fall off from being in high prevalence on this site in particular, is that the mirror windows are just not defendable from this style of attack. You have anxiety upstairs right now. They're just making sure the building is clear, and they've got so much time left on the board to do it. Over a minute and a half left in the round, and these players from Trine are just choosing to sit down on site and let Regents burn their own time.
Yeah, I think it's good that they're roaming together. They have one droning and the other one just holding, making sure that they don't die. And already we get a pick. LaCroix picks off Cryptic Plague. How will that impact the round? Cryptic Plague's been the standout player, so this very much could turn the round in Regent's favor.
Hopefully that pick gives them a little bit more space to work with, but he is going to be watching cams as well as McThunder Dave hiding out in Harry Potter was not detected, is able to take out that Finkus, and no more adrenal surges coming through, but he gets shot through the wall. It's a very nice angle and a crossfire there between LaCroix and Bubba to just set that up. And these players out in elbow, they're not aware that they're on an echo cam, but I don't think it's going to matter that much. It gives Down and Smoke a little bit of information to push off of, but that's a very nice timed swing from LaCroix. They get the kill, and just an immediate flurry of kills. Regents very confidently take this basement site once again.
Yes, very, very good push. They're using their time a lot more wisely. I really hope we see more of this, because I do think if Regents continue on this path, continue to use their time a little more wisely, push down to site with still a decent amount of time left, I really think they could turn a lot of these rounds in their favor.
Yeah, and I think now that we're done with their defensive path, I think looking at it as a whole, I really think that Trine right now is just having a little bit of trouble with communication, right? You know, it happens on day by day, but it just feels like these players from Trine, they're very close to getting the timing down on how they should swing and when they should swing, but it just feels like a little bit of the information isn't there, and I think that's very worrying coming into your attack when communication matters a whole lot more. And Regents are now pulling out some very interesting utility from themselves that's going to need to be communicated and worked around, specifically Aruni and Malusi. These are two operators that don't get picked a whole lot, but Tachanka as well, but Aruni really able to shut down most of the entrances to the site and force you to burn projectiles, to burn time to get through it. And if they supplement this with a roam at all and let these players come back to the site, we could see Trine really run out of utility and time as they approach the setup.
It looks like Bubs may be starting potential roam, or maybe just putting the device down in Freezer. However, I do think the Tachanka pick, while, you know, Tachanka's generally, our Lord and Savior is generally not considered a great op, he's really come around after, you know, Shumika launcher, deployable shield, all that kind of stuff. Especially with his gun being buffed in the most recent update, it does 61 damage now. I do think he's become a lot better op, and I really want to see how specifically he will impact the round.
Yeah,
and how they plan to use him.
I'm kind of expecting Thunder Valve to use these Shumika launchers very early on in the round. There's no real reason to hold on to them, and if you're putting Tachanka in a position like Elbow, you might as well just keep this door on fire for like 90% of the round. There's really no reason not to, and especially since Trine's really stacked a ton of players out here towards Bunker, and they don't have any frag grenades to actually clear their shield with. Thunder Valve's in a very powerful spot to just really slow this attack down and deny the entirety of Trine's execute by just sitting put behind this shield.
Yeah, the Tachanka as well has all 20 of his Shumikas. The Shumika will go off for 5 seconds, so he can effectively hold down that for 100 seconds, which, as you can see, there's only 90 seconds left in the round, so that Trine may end up having to sprint through fire. Oh, and he uses all 5. This is a very interesting play. Looks like he's getting pushed off the field, so he's going back and reinforcing that. I think that's a very good play so that they can't pick off the first play in the closet.
Oh no. That reinforcement might lose them the entire round here. Look at this attack from the side of Trine. They only have control of the elbow space and this big tower space, and now Regents don't have the ability to establish crossfires on it. They have to take one-directional gunfights now, so Trine's chances of winning the round have just skyrocketed, and a lot of it's going to come down on these players out in highway, but LaCroix gets dropped. That highway position surrendered. Tatbro does get taken out, so the flank is not coming through for the attack now, and Cryptic's going to have to make it work through the Aruni gates now. They are able to burn the drones, but he doesn't let the gate dissolve entirely, so he takes damage from that, and he's walking into Freezer. Why are you doing this? You don't need this angle. You just have to hold the player from swing, and Trine just losing all of the advantage that they were able to garner. That one Spore trying to gain it back, running up the highway hallway, able to get the tags onto the Aruni, but that 3 armor operator not able to fall. Somebody somewhere else it's now dropped, and they're into 1v2 now. Sly upstairs trying to retake into his own bomb site against an Osa who has control over the laundry space. A very defensive plant here coming out, just making sure that Sly is not going to be able to pick the planter and forcing a retake out of this player. The audio giving his position away, but the Thunder Dave's position given away by that melt cam as well. This retake coming down through back tower stairs, a little bit slow, but he's got plenty of time to still work his way up, but he doesn't check all the angles, and Thunder Dave's able to turn the round around for Trine.
In all honesty, it very much depends on your style of play, whether or not you should reinforce that wall that you were talking about. While Trine, did end up winning the round and everything, that angle can be very beneficial depending on, who's kind of playing there. With Regents actually only having the Tachanka defending that and having 2-3 Trine players actually pushing in, I think falling back and reinforcing off that wall was a good play. They just ended up getting picked off, didn't really get the refrags, and I think that's what ultimately lost them the round.
We're heading upstairs for Regents' second defense. I like the change-up, and they've kind of stuck to their guns here. They're wanting to play Tachanka on this map as much as possible, so just kind of keeping that operator around and being able to deny these hallways and walk-ups here from Trine seems to be the name of the game, but we need to see these Shumikas come out a little bit earlier, right? We want to see the fire being used to slow the push and not necessarily the execute. If you get caught in an execute as Tachanka holding that fire grenade launcher, you are 100% of the time going to lose that gunfight. So just making sure that you're not afraid to burn those fire grenades early might help Regents out here a lot, as well as Legion, an operator that we didn't see Trine bring out a ton, but this operator's been buffed so many times recently that he provides a great amount of information for the defending side, as well as a little bit of chip damage to the attacking side to try and slow down their pushes.
Yeah, and as we know, slowing down the pushes can very much have a huge impact on the round. As we saw with Regents pushing, they were slow, and when they got slowed down, pretty much every round that they got slowed down significantly, they couldn't cope, they didn't have time to get the frags, or they didn't have time to get the diffuser down, or anything like that. So being able to slow down these attackers is really, right now, it's really the name of the game.
Some initial pushes coming out here from Trine, and I really like the tempo that they brought out. We're only a minute into the round, and they've already got this main wall open. They're burning 2 ace charges for it, potentially a bit too much, but they also have the Maverick to try and supplement this attack wherever he goes, and you can see him positioning over towards Attic, so they are going to be able to open multiple places of hard breach, and that's not something we saw Regents do, and I really like this change coming out from Trine. It just seems a little bit more well put together and structured for a bit of an execute. A trade coming out to open the round. Thunderval and Cryptic take each other off the board, and if you consider what these players have done for their respective teams, Cryptic being off the board early is a massive detriment to Trine.
Yeah, and honestly, that's been something we generally see. Cryptic, after getting those 2 4Ks, he'll get 1, maybe 2 kills, but then he gets picked off. So, but it seems that Trine have actually been coping pretty well with the loss of him in these later rounds. So that's been nice to see. We are already down to a 4v4. Thundervalve getting taken out as well. And as we see Legion playing underneath the site. Very interesting play with such a small hole, but honestly could work out very well for him. Throwing another impact, trying to get the Osa. also taking a little bit of damage, but nowhere near enough to kill. Also now placing a shield. As we see, they're holding the site. As they pushed in, they're holding the site very, very well. Going over to swing attic, but diffuser is already down. We're going to see how how Regents plan to attack this. They pick off Ace behind the shield, behind the Osa shield. Find Osa, pick her off as well, but Bubba and Sly are also picked off by Trine. 2v2, 20 seconds left on the fuse. 1v1. Looks like Anxiety's going to try and disable, while McThunder Dave is coming over, making sure he's not baiting. He's off. And McThunder Dave gets the final kill to win Trine that round. We now have a game 3-5.
Yeah, it's just a very well put together execute there from the side of Trine, and I think I really want to give them credit for just not overcomplicating it. They did exactly as much as they needed to. They didn't get caught out elsewhere on the map. They just stuck to the initial push, as well as Mick Thunderdave rotating around to Attic when he was supposed to, but they didn't overcomplicate it. They didn't make this attack unnecessarily complicated. They did exactly what they needed to do. They did it together, and it looks beautiful for it. And now we're seeing Regents kind of opt into going back to the same site again as well once they get this timeout over with. But you've got to change something dramatically now, and you know, it's going to be hard to do that. You're trying to work against a one-directional push that is very well come together and isn't leaving gaps to flank. There is nowhere to flank. The only player that you can catch out is McThunder Dave, who's solo pushing Attic. But are you really going to commit an entire roamer to that side of the map? You can, but it's a large loss of positioning and utility to move someone out that space. So you've really got to play this utility game significantly better than before, and or try and find other ways to stop Trine JV's push. And you can do that through explosive utility, you can do that preset utility, you can do that with just positioning and communicating better around the map. They brought that Shumika launcher, they brought the Chachaka, and they weren't able to keep the Osa out from just walking into sight. And I feel like that is a little bit problematic to see from Regents, but it's a very easy thing to fix, especially when you're taking a timeout.
Yeah, and I completely agree. Getting into the round now, we see some interesting picks. They seem to be sticking. Regents seem to be sticking with about the same lineup. Jaeger beneficial on every site. Legion potentially playing underneath again. However, that underneath play didn't really go as planned, so I wonder if they're going to try that again, or if they're actually going to play Legion somewhere else, maybe on site. Because that trap utility, putting that on site could be very beneficial.
Yeah, just getting themselves set up around, and I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't know about this Vigil pick. It's a very self-centered pick. You use it to try and cloak yourself away from the drones, but how are you going to roam on a site that is upstairs? There's no verticality roam that you can do. We saw, I believe it was Sly try to do that in the previous round. It doesn't work. You can't really affect this site from below, outside of the server room that looks up to Big Window. So there's a ton of work that Thundervalve's gonna have to do if he really is going to use this Vigil gadget to gain an advantage in the round. And his positioning right now kind of suggests that he just wanted to play Vigil, which is also fine, right? Like there's sometimes that you're just more comfortable on the character. You just want the gun more than anything else. We saw that a ton when Alibi was like super popular with the 1.5, and you know, you can't really hold that against him, right? Like, you could say, oh, you need to be bringing better utility, but if you're just more comfortable on the character sometimes, and especially in collegiate, it's just better to be comfortable and play your game than try and adapt to what is technically optimal. So if that's what Thundermel's going for, all credit to him for doing that. Trine as well, they are actually moving slower in this round, despite the fact that Regents haven't really given them any reason to move slower. So a little bit of time gamed here from the Regents, so hopefully they can use that effectively.
In all honesty, I feel like that IQ pick has been very good, because they've been picking out those Valk cams that the Crow did a very good job of putting in very hard places. You saw under the lampshade they were able to pick that off because of the IQ. So getting those cameras, getting those utility off could take a decent bit of time, but it could very much work out for Trine in the long run.
Yeah, I do really like that we're seeing the Shumikas come out earlier. I think that's just a very good adaptation from Anxiety and something that they probably did correct in that timeout. You want to use that gadget early, right? You saw Spore trying to get his way up towards site. You throw the fire in his way and he's not able to do it. I also really like the Sly is kind of hovering towards that positioning shown from McThunderdave, not giving the Maverick as easy access to site as they did previously, but they are still giving him access nonetheless, and Cryptic is actually here this time, the player that died very early previously, so they are having coverage for this Maverick. He's not entirely alone as he was previously, so Cryptic doubling up on this, kind of giving him space, but he gets distracted. Thundervalve using the Vigil Scanner distracts Cryptic and drags him out here towards me, and he didn't see the gun. That's a 4x3 moment there for you. He's just off screen there, so Thundervalve sneaks away with it, and he's going to get the flank onto Cryptic, and it works successfully. A very nice bait there, using the Vigil Scanner to lure out the IQ.
Yeah, as we see, there was a Claymore on attic stairs, big tower stairs, and honestly, it looks like it might deter them. However, we see Thermite, that one's for getting a pick off the Pro, but the refrag getting traded out. As we see here, we Regents ends up getting 2 more kills. 4v1, 10 seconds with Trine in a 1v4. I don't think it's going to work out very well for them. See if he can maybe get 1 pick, which he can. Bubba gets the final kill, and that round goes to Regents.
Some very interesting late round decisions coming out from Trine. They kind of abandoned their execute. They weren't able to break the setup that they were previously. That shield that we saw there towards the end of the round cam as well, just outside of the kid's door, kind of spelling disaster for them. McThunderdave wasn't able to establish attic control. They couldn't push the players around, and well, they just kind of ended up walking around into their doom. They weren't able to establish those strong crossfires that they were previously. So very well played to Regents to be able to capitalize on that. We're heading downstairs for their 4th defense attempt, and well, this is a site that they kind of threw away at the very end the first time that they came down here, so hopefully they're able to correct that. And we see a couple of operator corrections coming out as well. I think the 2 main ones that we see here is Thorn and the Kaid as well. Kaid is an operator that's very niche to see come out, right? Especially on a map like Oregon. There's not a whole lot of Kaid value you can bring, and especially when you're starting with that elbow reinforcements. I guess they're trying to call out Trine for not bringing EMPs, but I believe they are. But yeah, you get to deny these hatches away from the attack, and that's a very strong piece of utility if the attack are not prepared to deal with it.
Yeah, I completely agree. We're seeing the Bravo pick come in. Wonder if she'll be able to get her drones into sight before
attackers are moving out to locate a
Regent sees them, shoots them, that kind of thing, or if she'll actually be able to be very useful, hack a ton of gadgets. I do also want to question the Osa play. I see that one Spore has been playing Osa for the past few rounds, and in all honesty, while they have won quite a few rounds, it just doesn't, the Osa shields, especially on the upstairs site, it just hasn't really seemed to be working out. They play behind those shields, but, the minute they go to peak, Regents just has them locked down and gets the kills. So it's kind of interesting continuing to see that play here.
Yeah, they're just kind of using it as a battering ram to get themselves towards the site, so I like it in that sense, but, it gives you a gun, right? They're almost playing it as they would a blitz, but they've got full elbow control now. This, double reinforcement towards elbow, not playing out extended, is a very interesting adaptation. I'm curious to see how Trine goes about solving this. They do have the EMPs on Spore, as well as the IQ to just know the exact location of that Kite Claw, so they should be able to pretty easily open this wall up if they want, but, they don't have the hard breaching for it, actually. They only have Hibana, and you normally don't really want to be walking through Hibanas into sight, and Cryptic goes ahead and grabs the opening pick. Thundervalve falling on that mirror out towards Pillar. It's a very nice opening pick, and a Nitro Cell removed from the board to make the execute all the more easier when they come down to it.
Mm-hmm. I honestly like to play a reinforcement that often forces trying to push through one spot. As we see here, Hibana ends up getting killed, but LaCroix trades out for Cryptic Plague. So now we have a 3v4 on our hands. At this point, it looks like Trine are actually pushing very well. There's still a minute left in the round. They're already down on site. LaCroix ending up getting a 2nd kill on Downing Smoke, taking this to a 3-3. The Osa shield's actually working in their favor this round. LaCroix once again getting a kill, this time Laundry Stairs.
and this utility here for the side of Trine. They've got the shield in sight, but they're not committing to the plant. A very interesting decision from the side of Trine, just kind of trying to bait out these kills instead of playing for the objective. The last EMP comes out as well. Very curious what they're scared of. Do they not know where this last nitro cell from Bubba is? It's in freezer. They don't have to worry about this explosive because he's got to huck it down the hallway, but that foot gets extended. The shield not quite placed properly, and LaCroix gets a 5K, and he gets the ace to shut down the round. Well played to Regents, and well played to LaCroix to get themselves to an even footing.
Yeah, it looks like we have a timeout request by Trine, so I guess what do you think of that last round? That was very, very nice play by LaCroix. Thorn getting that 1.5. I was very excited to see that buff, and it's just been phenomenal for... it obviously worked very well for LaCroix there, but just Thorn mains all around. It's been a phenomenal buff, and they've absolutely loved it. Do you think that specifically the Thorn pick was kind of what got him the ace, or what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, I don't think it's the Thorn pick in and of itself, right? We didn't see those Thorn gadgets actually provide a whole ton of information and utility throughout the round. It's just more so, I think it goes back to what we were talking about previously when they picked Vigil, but they didn't really play it like you would have Vigil. Sometimes you're just more comfortable with the character and their gun in specific. And if LaCroix is just happier using the 1.5 on Thorn's gun, then you should just pick the operator, right? He is having a standout performance right now. He's got almost above a 2.0 KD, and he's really just the shining light on your team. You might as well play into just enabling LaCroix to go and pick whatever he wants, play how he wants, assist him, right? He is the player that you want to enable through these rounds, and they've got to just keep doing that if they want to try and get those advantages by enabling your strong player here. I mean, of course, they still do have the rest of the team behind it. The rest of the Regents players aren't having terrible performances, but when you have a standout player who's having such an immaculate game, there's no reason to just restrict his play and try and force him on operators that he's not comfortable with. And if he likes that gun a little bit more, you might as well let him have it.
Yeah, I completely agree. He's really earning that MVP rank that we showed at the beginning of the stream. But speaking of MVPs, Down in Smoke being the MVP for Trine, really, really not showing that this game. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, he's just kind of struggling here, and I think a lot of that's just how Regents are playing, is just really shutting down what Down in Smoke's been trying to do throughout the entire game. All of his pushes and him trying to support his teammates has just not gone according to plan because Regents are on top of their game, and so he's just kind of been struggling to find success and value through this game, specifically through his utility use. We've seen him die quite a few times before he's able to get that utility off, so hopefully he can kind of pick that up in these last few rounds of regulation here. And well, being on Gridlock, it's very important that you get that utility down. Those track stingers as well as the frag grenades are such important pieces of utility to see, and I'm really happy that we finally get this utility lineup from Trine. Look at what they're bringing. They brought an execute setup. They are here to try and make an execution towards the site through the Yin Candelas plus the smoke canisters, and I really like to see that. That's not something we've seen either of these teams really play into so far, and Oregon is such an execute heavy map that it's kind of surprising they haven't opted into it so far. This initial clear towards Small Tower been very successful from Trine, only losing about a minute to completely clear this space, as well as the thermite trick coming through. For those who don't know, this thermite charge can break the wall down below it if you position it correctly, as well, Tatbrim does that to some degree there. So getting a partial breach open from a safe position is always a nice way to start out your round.
Yeah, we see already 2 picks coming off, Bubba taking out Cryptic and Anxiety taking out McThunder Dave. Already two very strong players down from Trine, so Regents, I feel like, can definitely use this to their advantage. It's we see the Azami play coming out now. Like I said, I really thought she was going to be banned because she's very powerful, but as you can see, and she's really, really been helping. LaCroix ends up getting downed. It'll be interesting to see if they're able to res him, or which they do. So it's still a 5v3. That one, Spore, ends up picking off Sly, and now we're down to a 4v3. We see a lot of pushes from a lot of different angles from Regents, whereas Trine are all grouped up in Small Tower. I wonder if that grouping up is going to end up being their downfall this round.
Most likely won't be here as we start seeing this execute come out. These smoke canisters enabled with the Ying Candela is just really building space into sight to allow Spore to sneak in and try and start getting that plant going down. But there's a very nice pick for the Pulse there, swinging out from the sour angle to try and establish that. This plant going down through the smoke still, they can't find the shot, so it's going to be a post-plant situation with all the members on Regents being so low health. It is a very doable 2v4, and they're going to make it a 2v3 with Tapro getting that kill. So I'm going to hand it back over to you.
All right, as we see here, that one's for getting another pick. They have the health advantage. Trine has the health advantage over Regents right now. 20 seconds left on the diffuser. And down goes Anxiety. Thermite getting that pick. 1v2. He's going to have to start swinging if he really wants to win this round. He knows where Thermite is, but cannot get the kill. And that is another round for Trine. I believe it is now a 6-4 or a 6-5.
Yeah, and honestly, that round in particular, right? You get to really see the weaknesses of picking kitchen dining as the bomb site itself. That dining space is just so attacker sided. Sure, you can play around showers and like that space there, but you can't really force it to interact with the site unless the attackers kind of walk into you. So the Otis is really on the defenders to try and work picks and like retake small tower while an execute's happening. It's a very difficult thing to do. So I'm not really surprised that we saw Regents struggle with it there, and it's a very nice 2v4 as well coming out from those players on Trine. So I'd love to see this operator selection too, right? They brought the smokes, they brought the flashes, they brought all of the utility they really needed to make that style of execute work. I really wish they'd bring that here as well. Ying does not lose any value picking it upstairs. In fact, that it gives you more pressure. You can clear space with those 4 Ying Candelas incredibly effectively, and if you pair the Ying with the Maverick play that they were doing earlier, you suddenly have a very powerful attic push that can't be rebutted as easily, and especially when they're placing mirror windows and things, throwing a single Ying Candela can completely nullify that mirror window. So I kind of wish they'd keep bringing it, but they haven't opted into it. They're instead going back to that trusty Osa play that we've seen partial success on in the past.
Yeah, upstairs, honestly, a lot of that Osa play we haven't seen much success with them playing it upstairs. The downstairs pushes have been great, but continuing to play it on the upstairs, maybe it's to push into sight, maybe it's just for the gun, but if it's just for the gun, why not play Thermite, give your team another hard breach option, you know, that kind of thing.
Bomb detected.
As we see now, Sly is playing all the way down in basement, actually watching Laundry stairs, seeing if Trine will go for the full roam clear. Already pushing into Armory is down in smoke, playing that Ashe. You have to be aggressive. She's a very aggressive op, so it's good to be seeing that. We also see Tato coming in main bedroom, having the player in attic really helps push them out, but it looks like Osa was able to get in, so maybe reloading or they were peeking behind something. It'll be interesting.
This is such a good position here for the side of Regents if they're able to just keep these players at bay. The attic push not really gaining any ground is such a good start for them. The Shumikas as well, kind of coming out early and denying the Osa space. They're just letting Trine burn their own time and utility. It's very nice to see out of Regents as well as Thundervalve kind of sneaking up towards Trophy as well, playing in Bolo's position. So just a lot of different angles here being held by Regents as well as not letting them into attic as freely really puts them in a much better spot here to deny the execute from Trine, because now they don't have the clear crossfires. They have to look more than one direction, and they're going to have to just walk into crossfires, which is never something you want to do if you're a shield op. So Osa of Spore probably going to have a really rough last minute here.
Yeah, it looks like they're all tending to push from the same site. Apart from that one, Spore is pushing in from the closet and ends up actually getting picked. Bubba goes down now. But Sly ends up picking off McThunderdave. Cryptic Plague getting a shot off on Anxiety. LaCroix taking down in smoke. This is just trade after trade after trade after trade. We see the Vigil roaming, about to come back up. I wonder what kind of impact he will have on the play. Osa completely unfazed by the impact grenades, just continues to plant. And Vigil ends up getting the pick, and they cannot get the plant down. 20 seconds left. Ace is down. It is a 1v2, and Regents are looking like they may win this round.
Yeah, they still have a little bit more work left to do. Cryptic is able to try and reestablish himself, but these players walking up, he's just got so many angles to worry about. Shots to the back, shots to the front, this fight with the Crow as well, just wasting more time. He just no longer has time to safely get the plant down. He's got his head on a swivel, but at the end of the day, the clock's your worst enemy, and so is the Crow. Just very solid round there from the side of Regents to send us to overtime.
Yep. 6-6. In all honesty, from what I've seen, a lot of these teams do tend to be pretty evenly matched. Would you agree with that assessment?
I mean, we are in overtime on a 3-3 half from both sides, so yeah, I'd say they're pretty even.
Yeah, I mean, realistic. Like, there are some games I play where, you know, like my team in our league, we actually got placed in a higher division than we should have been. So we're playing, you know, we're a average silver gold team, and we're playing against emeralds, platinums, diamonds. One team even had a champ. So a lot of those times I just tell my team play stupid, you know, and sometimes the other team can't cope. So I guess you know, being evenly matched, the scoreboard can be very deceitful sometimes. So, but I do think these teams are both playing each other very well. Trine have outplayed Regents a few rounds. Regents have outplayed Trine a few rounds, and some that have come down to the very last second. It's been an exciting match, and I can't wait to see how this overtime goes.
Yeah, Trine kind of boggled it at the end previously, and well, they've brought some very different attacking options. This is what I feel like they needed to do just a bit earlier to not be in this overtime position, right? If you change your ops earlier, right, you get the adaptation advantage, and you're not doing it in overtime. But I think very notably that Flores, with how many shields Regents are bringing, and the fact that they're not bringing any drone denial, this operator's got so much pressure and positioning advantage to just blow up all of this utility that Regents have set down that caused Trine trouble in the previous round. And while this single roamer underneath the site really isn't a big deal, you've got Gridlock, throw track stingers on the staircase, just do your own thing. And honestly, Regents is going to have a difficult time in this round if they let the Flores get set up and they let him destroy all of their utility. But this Gridlock out towards Big Window as well, the utility's just kind of in the wrong spot for Trine. I feel like they've been thrown a little bit, like they didn't expect to be in this exact position, so maybe they've got a little bit of problems going on in their comms.
Yeah, Jaeger ending up taking a little bit of damage from that thermite charge, but the Osa playing the exact same way they have basically every round they're attacking upstairs. Really interesting to see, because in all honesty, it doesn't seem to be working out well for them, but they continue to stay strong with that Osa pick. Could this be the round where it turns around? I guess we'll find out. Flores sending out one of his Roteros, potentially going into Attic with that one. Pachanka sending fire into Attic. And right here, as you said, the Flores is going to be great for shield denial, and we see that right here. Looks like they are expecting a push from Attic now due to that Flores drone, but Trine are doing a really good job of only putting the Flores over there and having everyone else push from different spots.
Yeah, I don't even think it's necessarily that it's only the Flores over there. It's that they are applying pressure there this time, and they didn't get just destroyed trying to enter the building. So they've actually got that pressure there, and that Flores breaking the shields makes this defense from Regents significantly less secure. And you see the members, they're just more confident. There's no shield here. They're willing to peek the doors and take long-range gunfights, and it gives them a 3v5 advantage.
Yeah, you've seen Attic. They were able to flush that out. Those head holes completely gone. It's been, which I think is really what's driving Regents into the ground. I really think Trine have this one in the bag now that they have the Attic control, and Sly has to come up. He can attack from three ways. He can go white stairs, he can go main stairs, or he can literally jump out the window, giving away his position, come back in big window. Looks like he's opting for the white stairs, which they had under lock, but he ends up getting a kill on Cryptic Plague. Now trying to figure out where the other operators are. Gridlock ending up swinging around, getting that kill as he tries to pick off the one in Master Bedroom. So we see the first overtime round end up going to Trine.
Yeah, I mean, you have to chalk that round up to just the operator differences that they made, right? We talked about him before the game. He's had such a high prevalence for just potency in this game. Flores is a menace if you don't deal with that operator, and the fact that we just got to see a little bit of a taste of his power, I like the adaptations coming through, and now Trine's going to have to solve that Flores problem as we see Regents hovering that character. And, well, I think the major difference here is that Trine's not bringing utility that Flores is really comfortable with dealing with, right? Like, it feels bad to break a castle barricade with a Flores, but that's pretty much the extent of what they brought. There's like one deployable shield and a bulletproof cam for him to deal with, but outside of that, not a whole lot of value for that operator. So I like the differences there, kind of countering the operator by not bringing the things he's strong against in that sense. So maybe Regents are going to be able to sniff that out and switch off the operator, but it seems like they're going to be committed at this point. So just a pretty standard upstairs defense coming through. So hopefully we get to see Trine's skill kind of shine, because it's been a while since we've seen them on the defense. So hopefully they remember what it's like to play on this side and they come out as at least putting up a good performance.
5 seconds remaining.
All right, as we see now, Frost kind of playing around with her shield, seeing if she should put it down or not. We see right now they Regents tend to be having a slow start, methodically droning, as we know. Slow and methodical is their kind of approach. Now, Trine didn't actually bring a lot of trap ops. They have the Frost, but that's really it. And those trap ops have been very beneficial in holding Regents down, that kind of thing. So it'll just be interesting to see, now that they only have the Frost, if one, Frost is beneficial, and two, if those trap ops, not having trap ops really kind of screws them over. We see Cryptic Plague already going down. That is their top frag, 18 and 11. Already down, bring it to a 5v4. LaCroix getting a kill with 0 on Tato, 5v3. Now we see the Ash playing underneath the attic hatch, potentially trying to get some leverage there, and it seems to have worked, because when Trine took over attic, it was basically game over for Regents. So if Regents can take over attic, maybe it's game over for Trine. I guess that remains to be seen.
Yeah, just a very powerful point to contest. These gunfights coming back, just getting tags across the board. But yeah, Trine's definitely in a very bad spot here. A lot of their players kind of gone, and well, they don't really have any utility left to stack it up. That not bringing the Flores gives you that disadvantage, with Spore falling as well. This 5v2 with over a minute left. It feels a little rough here for these members on Trine.
It's 5v1 now. McThunder Dave going down. Regents really having the advantage. And already that's a flawless round. Obviously not game over yet. 77. It all comes down to this final round.
Yeah, some very good pressure coming out from Regents there on attack, finding, I think, the first 3 opening kills just from gun skill, communication, and positioning around the map. That's just some very good siege coming out from them, and we get ourselves around 15. Always an exciting time for just anyone playing or watching siege. It's just fun, you know. You play all that, and we've been here for about like an hour now, and we get one round to decide who wins map number 1 here. So hopefully they make it a good one at least. We're heading downstairs as well. I actually really like this. I don't think this upstairs site has looked good for either team in a while, so might as well come down to the site that's significantly more defendable. And the variant that we're seeing coming out here is the one with Regents having that Melusi. If I recall correctly, the last time they brought the Melusi, Trine did not care that they had it. They just kind of walked over the site and established a ton of pressure here too. So
yeah, pretty much.
Hopefully we'll be able to see the intention behind that Melusi this time.
They end up reinforcing off the elbow wall and electrifying it. We did see it. I believe it actually did work out for them. But I guess it'll be interesting to see if it works out here. Cryptic has droned it out. Has saw that it's electrified, reinforced. They probably will. While we have some people pushing downstairs, pushing blue, I don't think they'll need to go over to that wall now that they know it's reinforced, electrified. But pushing blue with that wall reinforced, electrified, if Regents can watch the only door that they can push through, it could end up being a very easy round for them. as it seems a lot of Trine players are going blue.
Yeah, but I mean, it's going to be hard for them if Trine gets themselves set up throughout the building properly, because they can force you out from the angles that watch through those doors pretty effectively if they're able to take that map control. But it's a very nice snipe from Sly as well to just get the opening pick and deny those lion scans. I also want to talk about this fuse too. Trine's brought it out. I actually really like it. I think it's a very good pick here. But speaking of good picks, the Crow grabbing another one. I don't think it matters what operators they bring. Regents now just firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. Fuse potentially trying to put a cluster charge on a hard floor. Very interesting play. Not sure if he meant to bring it out, but looks like they are going to be pushing down tower stairs. I'm curious to see how that works out for them. They Cryptic ending up getting a kill on the Crow. That takes off their top fragger. Being 20 and 10, that could be very, very beneficial to Trine winning the round. But that remains to be seen. Right now, Valkyrie is just kind of playing very slow, just kind of holding in upstairs. I'm curious to see if that flank near the end of the round will come into play and potentially win them the round. Cryptic right now getting in gunfight with Malusi.
Attackers have recovered their
Thunder
diffuser.
Valve ending up swinging, but not getting the kill. Cryptic also taking out Bubba in that, and now it's a 2v3, a 1v3. Quad kill for Cryptic. Sly ending up taking out Cryptic, but they get the plant down, which makes it so much easier for Trine. 1v2.
Attackers are activating.
Stun grenade comes over. And getting the down on Hibana 1v1, and McThunder Dave taking out Sly to win Trine the game. 8-7. What a close game, but it was a very, very good game to watch.
Yeah, a lot of back and forth between these two teams. Huge shout out to Cryptic there at the end for being able to work a very difficult situation, isolating so many 1v1s back to back to back. That's not a very easy skill to acquire as a player, so well played to them, and well played to both teams here, really. We got to see a lot of adaptations back and forth between them, and of course, this is just map 1, so hopefully we get to see some more of that too as we progress through the series. But yeah, a very interesting map 1 to open us up. So I don't know, do you have any more thoughts before we head over to a break?
Just as I said, it's been a very good game. Very heartbreaking. Very heartbreaking for one team and very powerful for another. But that's Siege for you. It's been a very good game, and I can't wait to see what happens when they go to Cafe. As we know, Oregon was Regents' map, and they ended up losing. However, it was a close game. So Cafe could potentially spur Trine on to victory, but will it? We'll find out.
Wyczuwany wam beat.
Welcome back to Midwest R6. We have map number 2 coming up between Regents and Trine JV. We just got off of Oregon, an 8-7 close victory for Trine JV as we head into their map pick of Cafe. Now, let's talk a little bit about Cafe as a map, Lucas. It's a little bit different, right? There's a lot more verticality on a map like Cafe, and I feel like that kind of changes how you have to go around playing this map.
Yeah, I would dare say it's probably the most different map compared to all the others that is in the competitive pool. It being 3 floors, having 2 sites, middle floor, 1 top, 1 bottom, no real basement, and a lot of people opting to play the 3rd floor. I expect to see a lot of vertical play. I expect to see a lot of hatches. And in all honesty, I feel like this could go either way. As Cafe, I'm sure you know, Cafe can be very cruel to some teams and very helpful to some others.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if this becomes a very one-sided match or if we see it like last time where it ends up going into overtime and very, very the slimmest of margins victory.
Yeah, I think that's some good things to talk about there too, right? We saw both of these teams really struggle with just keeping tempo on their attacks. You saw Trine actually pick it up towards the end, as well as Regents. Both teams kind of hit the gas towards the end, but when you think of a map like Cafe, the first 30 seconds of every single round is just getting to the building, right? Because you have to get to the building, you got to repel, go to where you want to go. There's just this massive time sink associated with getting to the building on Cafe that doesn't exist with other maps. So it's going to be very interesting to see how teams are able to manage their time and resources. And speaking of time and resources, we're not going to waste any of yours for much longer. We're going to head over to the game in just a moment. So we get to see how they're going. Trine, of course, is going to be starting out on the attack once we load in. So it's going to be very exciting to see how they're able to work these attacks and keep tempo, right? Because you've seen time and time again with Cafe, there's positions like piano upstairs, like VIP on the first floor that are just very difficult to crack. It's going to take a lot of just willpower and utility from these teams to get through there. So we're hopping into game right now. So we're going to get to see those operator bands first as well. And well, you get a little bit more structure here on the attacking bands. There's a couple ops you just absolutely have to get rid of. Roam clearing, of course, always in the people's heads, right? It's such a like good building to roam in. You want to remove that roam clear, you want to leave it up, things like that. With the defense, you get a little bit more interesting because the zombie is just absolutely disgustingly overpowered on this map.
Yeah, and especially on this map too. I mean, I really do see a zombie ban coming out. Now it's up to see if we get a target ban, which, in all honesty, I think we do. We see the gridlock coming out as the first ban. That was an op that was played a lot by Trine, actually, for post plant. Here, Trine ends up banning the Dokkaebi, as they did in the first match. Once again, it affects defenders in support mode, which, a lot of times post plant, 1v, whatever situations, you kind of need that. So I do think the Dokkaebi ban is good. On defense, we see a Fenrir ban, which there are a lot of corridors, a lot of places, especially stairways that Fenrir can be very, very beneficial on. And in all honesty, he's just very, very annoying, blocking off people's lines of sight. So I do think that's a good ban as well.
Yeah, just a ton of presence so far being put on flank and flank control, and Solus being gone as well. Just so much control of roamers has been removed from this game. The best roamer for defense, gone. The best roam clear operator for the attack, gone. Best roam holder, gone. Just the amount of ability for people in this game now to just use vault cams, use things like pulse and things, and just other bits of information, as well as just picking a 3-speed and running around the map, is going to be very prevalent because the tools you normally have to control those are now gone. And we see Trine kind of showing off the Nomad instead. Not really people's first go-to pick now for controlling the flanks, since Gridlock has been buffed a little bit and is in a very good strong state right now. But speaking of strong state, we're starting off on Kitchen. We've seen this site in particular kind of shine a little bit more as time has gone on. It's the site that lets you play the map the most. You can play all the way up on 3rd floor and still have an impact directly on the site through some of the windows up there, through some of the hatches rotating down quickly. This is a very powerful site because you get to play the entire building, and you really force the attackers to spend a ton of time establishing presence through the building. And at some point, you got to get downstairs, so it's a huge time management task here. And we're seeing Trine kind of commit into that room clear style. They're bringing Ash, Fuse, Ram, Buck. All of these operators want to get above the site and really make the life for these defenders on site miserable. So hopefully we get to see Regents kind of spread out around the site a little bit more and not play it so linearly.
It'll be very interesting to see kind of the presence, Buck, Ash, Ram, even, kind of versus that Pulse that's playing downstairs. I mean, obviously, the high ground, the 2nd floor, could very much be beneficial, but if they run over something that's been impacted and they don't realize it's impacted, whatever, it could very much turn out the other way. Already, we see Cryptic Plague getting the Pulse, taking out Thunder Valve. That could change the round immensely now with their upstairs play, as Pulse was really the only one playing on site that could prevent that.
No, I think it will impact the round now too, right? Because Regents is set up in such a way that they're not really roaming. It's just Sly on a staircase that's going to get pushed out pretty quickly here once the drones start flying his way. They were really relying on that Pulse information plus Nitros to deny the 2nd floor, and now with that gone, Trine's just got a lot more confidence now to just start hopping in the building and clearing out the space. They're not taking it for free as well. They understand that these roamers from Regent could still exist. I really like that diligence from them to not just assume that they have this map control since they killed the Pulse.
Loading bag!
Yeah, it's interesting to see Sly playing on the stairs. Up until we heard that wall get impacted, or the hatch get impacted by Ash, he was really kind of looking at both stairways, kind of wondering where they were going to come from. As we see right here, he's kind of holding an angle on the people in Christmas, but with Trine's sheer numbers up there, I'm not sure it's going to turn out too well for him.
There we get to see the fuse canisters start coming out now, just using that device, not even necessarily to kill people, but any utility on the site is just going to be completely erased as they start burning as well. Sly, kind of wasting a bit too much time here, buddy. You know that they're on 2nd floor. You know your team's getting fuse charged. You have to go help them. This player Anxiety is running around with anxiety, and he ends up getting picked up because of it. The impact now coming in a bit too late. These players are done in the space, and it gives your position away. Down and Smoke takes him out. A very solid opening volley to the round for Trine, as Cryptic the first to fall for his team, as he gets a little too antsy and goes into sight too fast.
I gotta say that Malusi playing the impact was very that was a very good play. It could have ended it well for them if Trine wasn't so coordinated and getting the swing on Malusi immediately as she impacted. As we see here, Jaeger picking up his second kill, knowing that there's one more in Freezer, but getting downed.
10 seconds remaining.
1v2. Let's see if LaCroix can figure this out for his
5
team or
seconds
not.
to go.
And he does! He gets the double kill and ends up winning the round for his team.
Yeah, it's a very nice pickup from LaCroix to convert a round that realistically should have been Trine's. They had such an explosive start to it, just a few mistakes at the end, specifically not taking that whiskey space that we saw the group playing around. When you're attacking first floor, it's part of that time management that I talked about. They got the upstairs pressure very explosively, but then we saw Cryptic get a bit ahead of himself, walk down red stairs a bit too early, got punished for it, and now they lose that pressure towards whiskey that you're supposed to have. You're supposed to have players clearing out VIP, clearing out whiskey, so that that player is not allowed to exist there, and it allows your freezer drop to be very safe and successful. You can plant behind the bomb there. So just one missing piece from Trine, very close to an incredibly successful round, and very well played to the Crow too. That's some very good mechanical skill there to showcase that. Just the discipline on the aim there, being able to find both heads very rapid succession. It's very strong. We're gonna head upstairs to another bomb site that's very strong here in the game. So just gonna have to try and break through piano here is gonna be the name of the game for Trine. They're bringing some interesting utility to do it. Ram on this site, a very interesting call. Not a whole lot of verticality that this operator is gonna be useful for. And yeah, they do switch off on it in the last second. They did get that read and identify that it's not going to be a useful operator for the site.
Yeah, I do like the upstairs side. I do like how it's played. I'm curious. The main thing that Regents is gonna have to cover is the hatches and the stairways, because without those, there's absolutely no way that Trine's gonna get in the building. Skylight's pretty much always held down. It'll be interesting to see if they peek or if they hold off and wait for the drop. But a lot of this vertical play is going to be coming from the hatches, and well, I guess it remains to be seen whether or not that that's a good idea or one that ultimately gets Trine punished.
Yeah, speaking of Trine getting punished here too, we see that Azami now coming out. The operator is incredibly strong in piano, just able to completely workshop the entire space and to however the player sees fit. And they didn't bring a Flores along here too, and they are really lacking in explosive utility. So this player in piano is going to be very difficult to remove for Trine once they start getting a move on. And well, Thunder Valve's kind of given up most of piano and choosing to play around the default pixel angle. So you know, not a whole lot of space here being played, and I think a lot of that has to do with the zombie barricade propagation on the chair in front of him, kind of misdeploying there. So it's going to be a little bit rougher for Thunder Valve than maybe you'd expect for picking a zombie in this space, but still incredibly comfortable just being able to reconstruct everything in this space. So Tatbro on this rappel with the only explosive utility here for his team is really going to have to make it count against these zombie barricades.
Yeah, as we know with the Azami, she can really make or break a round, but you also need to know how to play her like well. She does require a decent bit of skill. And while it does seem that Thunder Valve has some skill, it's not to the level you would expect of potentially an Azami main. As we see now, Cryptic is actually being pretty ballsy, pushing up red stairs, seeing if they can get an early pick. All the way into underneath the new hatch. We see the Zofia actually coming up the red stairs as well. Bandit now in a firefight with IQ.
Yeah, these trades-offs not really coming here. And Trine's ability to control the clock slipping away from them entirely. They've got no map control here and only 30 seconds left to work with, so they're just going to have to start walking into sight here in just a second. And while these players from Regents, they've still got LaCroix on sight, and Bubba as well is able to chime in to kill Cryptic down below. And the impactful player from last game out early here. I say early into the execute. They've got 15 seconds left. They've got to get a move on, and well, Regents are just doing a great job of making sure they can't get a move on. All of the angles they're trying to walk up just getting shut down. No map control means means you can't walk down the hallways, folks. So it's now just down in smoke in a 1v5, and there's no way that he's going to be able to claim this. There's too many angles, too many people, and Regents gaining second round. This one significantly more confident in their own abilities, not relying on a clutch from Mugro to win the round, and a very solid start here for the Regents.
Yes, I do agree. However, I also believe that Cafe is being so big, having so many angles. I do believe it is defender sided. So I get when Trine actually switches over in round 7, it'll be interesting to see if they start out with a bang, just as Regents have on defense, or if them choosing this map ultimately leads to early downfall.
Yeah, I mean, with defender-sided maps, and I think there's not really a contention, right? Cafe is a defender-sided map. You kind of expect the defending-sided team to go up 4-2, and a lot of the reason it's 4-2 is because the tertiary bomb sites have problems, and we're going to one of those tertiary bomb sites now. And very interesting, it's actually mining dining instead of reading and dining. So not the traditional site you'd see out of here. And there's a couple of reasons you wouldn't necessarily see this as your main focus. Most specifically, it's that mining window, as well as just how much verticality exists towards Trine and mining as rooms. The entire floor above them is completely destructible. Just being able to rip up that entire floor, and well, they're bringing Ram to do it, so that drone's going to be able to eat this entire floor up. And so these players from Regents are really not going to have any safe place to stand once they start losing upstairs control. But that is a very important statement. They have to lose the upstairs control first before they're going to start running into any problems. And Trine really struggled to get into this upstairs space. They didn't bring the Azami this time, so it should be a bit easier for them, but they've really got to keep the tempo up as well as playing together to clear the space.
This time now they're repelling onto the top of the building, potentially playing those hatches again, but with Regents not having a lot of players playing up there, I guess it'll remain to be seen that, and Cryptic gets a pick, Thundervalve on his phone, IQ using the scanner just to fire down, and gets the pick. Another pick by Cryptic, getting slide down. Now the rest of Regents are on site. Is this going to... Could this potentially get... could Trine potentially get this round? Or do we think that these people playing on site might end up getting those picks? I guess we'll find out.
Very powerful start for Cryptic into this round. I criticized them a bit for not having tempo and struggling to clear upstairs, and Cryptic apparently is the solution to that. Now these players on site, they're really going to start struggling here once this vertical control for Trine starts showing up, and these fuse canisters raining down from above just force the castle out of position. He's got nowhere to play. He's running into the basement. He can't sit on site. There's just too much pressure from above, and this is the weakness of the site. They just don't have anywhere to play. Anxiety kind of slipping around here, trying to dodge their verticality and sneak into some safe haven if he can find it, but there's none to be found. 1 minute left on the clock, but these members from Trine, they're just taking their time now. They know that the pressure's not on them. They've got everything they could want so far in the round. A 2-man advantage, the verticality advantage, and now they're walking down white stairs as well, so the only place they can't for it being contested as well, the little ram drones as well coming out to punch a hole in the wall there too. Why not? Make sure that they can't sit anywhere comfortably. These players on Regents, they're all pretty much off of sight. They've just got Bubba hiding out in that mining space. The rest of them trying to float around the map, trying to sting this members of the Trine attack in the back, but Cryptic's ready for it, able to take his third on the round, not being surprised by these defenders. They still have so much time. They can take whatever angles they want here before they start going for the plant, but they do have to start thinking about that plant now, as these members of the defense aren't going to let them get away with it for free, and Bubba trades one back as well as Anxiety, so they managed to grab 2 off of the man count. Trine now just being a bit too slow here on their attack. They've delayed so much time now that these members are starting to retake through, and these guys upstairs, they gotta get a move on. You've got 15 seconds left, guys. You can't be on drone. You've got to start walking and walking. They start doing. Bubba now going to be the initial engagement here for the side of Trine. He's able to grab one. That's the box down on the ground. It's cold now. They've got to recover it and plant. They're able to kill out Bubba, but now they've got 2 seconds left. If Anxiety can just kill the planter, he's going to win the round. He gets it down, but it's not the planter. The plant is going to be successful here on the ground. Can he win the fight? He doesn't know where he is. Trine sneaks away with the tertiary site win.
Wow, what a play right there. That Jackal, instead of just planting right there, actually took the time, which they didn't have a lot of, to get behind the bomb somewhere that he knew he couldn't get shot from the hallway, and that ultimately won them the round. So very, very good play by the Jackal there. Now I'm curious to see, now that it's round 4,
Attackers need to locate
looks
and
like
defuse as many bombs as they
Regents
can.
are actually going back down to first floor, and Trine will have to attack first floor.
Attackers have
Do
located
you
a bomb.
expect trying to do a very similar push as the one they did before, despite it not working out in their favor?
Yeah, I do. Their push did work in their favor, which is why I expect them to go back to it. They got everything they wanted for, and they made one mistake at the end of the round that cost them the entirety of the round, but they won their push. They got everything they wanted. They cleared the flanks. They understood it. They got the vertical control. They got picks on sight. They had the
10
dream, and then
seconds
you make one mistake, you lose the round. So they're going to go for it again here, too, and it seems like Regents are kind of
5
expecting them
seconds to
to.
go.
They brought the Legion out. He's kind of making some pressure known here on the mid floor, as well as LaCroix now being on Cat as well, so you expect that operator to be off-site. So there's more off-site pressure here, and I think very notably they're not running the pulse, so Cryptic shouldn't get that early pick from his IQ device. So they've got more tools to keep themselves in the round, but they don't know how Trine clears upstairs because they didn't roam in the previous defense here. So Trine now has a little bit of the advantage in terms of that knowledge. Plus, there's no VIP setup here, and Cryptic is very early sniffing out that they can actually get the space they didn't grab control of previously. So if they're able to break past these defenders that are roaming, they should have a much better time.
Yeah, and now that they're playing defenders on third floor, all they had before was the one on stairs. Now they're playing a little bit more roaming. They're a little bit more roam friendly. And you saw Trine droned out pretty well last time, but do we think they're going to drone out pretty well again? Well, it looks like they're trying to, but not seeing that cab and jumping in right into where she could fire.
Oh, they actually redroned the space. They do know he's there, but they didn't communicate it. The fuse goes down, and that's a very pivotal piece of the attack taken off the board, but Cryptic's able to trade it back. Slide falls, so that mid-floor presence is gone now. LaCroix gets Cryptic, too. It's a very powerful roam here from LaCroix. This is kind of what I wanted from the first defense they had here, and just being able to slip through that utility very effectively, trying not getting the drones in the right spots at the right time to find that out, but they are able to get themselves in the building now, so that is some advantage for them now. But LaCroix hasn't given up the roam, and if Trine doesn't drone him out still and find his position, they could suffer the same fate that Tatro and Cryptic did.
Yeah, and as we saw in the first round, the reason that Trine actually lost it was due to time. They knew they had to get the plant down. They had like just under 5 seconds left, and that's why they kept planting. So ultimately, that time factor is going to be very, very big here, especially because if they realize, we don't have a lot of time, they're not going to be able to drone. They just kind of have to go for it, and that could really enable the Cav to get a lot of those picks.
Yeah, I think some of it too comes down to the operators coming out from the pick band too. Doki's gone, Gridlock's gone, so they have less control over where the Crow's around to play, and they're picking IQ and Ash. There's these ops that don't really help with your roam clear, and well, speaking of roam clear, they still haven't done it. They've got 30 seconds. They're top floor. As you said, the site's first floor. They know the Crow's here, but all he has to do is stand still, and he's just going to win the round for his team off of time. They just keep throwing utility at him. He just keeps running away. They don't catch him. No one's watching white, so the Crow sneaks away with his life, and he burnt the entirety of the clock. There is no way that Trine wins this. They don't have the hatch open. They don't have any vert control. All of these members from Regents just kind of chilling on site as Trine scrambles down white stairs, and the Crow's going to get that gunfight that he tried to grab upstairs on the roam. He just shoots them in the back. They are not looking his direction. He's grabbing a fourth, almost the ace for himself. What a beautiful loan from the Crow to shut down the entire round.
Now that's something that I start seeing a lot more often. It's things that I see in higher ranks or in esports. As a roamer, your main priority is not to get kills. Your main priority is to slow the attack down. And right there, that was very, very, very good at slowing the attack down. Instead of going, swinging, hey, maybe I'll get a kill or two. No, he just runs away. Meaning the attacking team needs to use more time, more utility, more drones to actually find out where he is. And as they start doing it again, runs away again. Very, very good play, not getting kill thirsty, and effectively running Trine out of time. to win the round.
Attackers have discovered the
I
location
think
of a bomb.
you gotta be a little upset with yourselves if you're trying, right? You identify that the player's in reading, and you have 3 operators that can vert reading. I know it's not the site and it feels bad to vert it, but you have a buck. Just start shotgunning the ceiling above the cav and force the crow to move away. If you don't pressure him to move, he's not just
5
going to
seconds to
peek into your
insertion.
line of sight. That's just kind of like what you learn from ranked, is that people are just going to swing outright, and the
Attackers
crow
are
doesn't
heading
do
out
it,
to
and they get
defuse a
punished
bomb.
hard for it. We're heading upstairs now, too. This is a site that Trine struggle to get in the building against. Previously, they've made some adaptations with the operators that they're bringing. I think very notably the Jackal is now making an appearance, but the Jackal doesn't really help you get in the building. He helps you once you're in the building isolate roamers, and well, I don't know how much that's going to help you on an upstairs attack.
Yeah, as we see now, they're once again taking the roof of the building, potentially going through those hatches. As we saw before with the Ash play that they had, Ash was going in, getting in, and they had a lot of other people kind of drop in, push the 3rd floor as well. But if they're only going from the hatches, which as it looks like they might, it could be a very easy round for Regents.
It could be, but there's still some pressure here, right? They've got to actually win these initial engagements, and, well, they don't really have the hard-breaching utility here either. Trine opting not to bring anything means they can't walk through red wall. Instead, they're just going to have to walk up through CS and try and take these linear gunfights against the zombie that should not favor you, but Thundervalve's playing it incredibly passively, just kind of letting Trine establish themselves towards CS, towards New Balcony, and giving them full reign of that area on the map. So Trine, should they choose to just not go piano now, kind of gets some advantages there. Of course, you do want piano as the attack. It gives you so many options for additional angles of attack, but it's not a requirement. But you know what is a requirement? Getting yourselves on the board, and both teams do just that. Anxiety taking out Cat Crow, Cryptic getting one back on a slide before the Crow gives themselves the advantage there as well. So these additional engagements just kind of coming out. It's just long-range gunfights that neither team really needs to opt into, but they're both choosing to do that. So just kind of handshaking these gunfights early on and not really amounting to a whole lot of anything.
Yeah, as we see there, once again, the IQ looking at someone on their phone shooting the floor this time, unfortunately, does not get a kill. However, getting upstairs very quickly, IQ being a 3-speed with a very good gun. I think it's good play from Cryptic to actually put her out. Cryptic actually taking a decent bit of damage right there. Do we think they'll be able to flush that Azami out? They know where she is, but they seem to have a hard time flushing people out as they did with that cat the last round. Cryptic going down with the Azami. Regents now in a 4v2, very winnable, with 12 seconds remaining. It's not looking good for Trine.
Yeah, most certainly isn't. They've got so many angles to clear here. Just so many defender positions. They're able to grab one. They know the Azami's still trapped outside towards Piano, but that angle, they just can't walk the bomb in without being seen by it. Regents take another very comfortable upstairs defense, and I feel like a lot of this just comes down to Trine not bringing the right tools for the job. You said they had troubles flushing out Azami, and I 100% agree. They have no flashbangs. They have no explosives. They have no hard breach, so Azami can just play anywhere in Piano, and they can't do anything about it. So they end up just peeking these long angles, and the defenders can opt in or opt out. They're not taking control of the round as the attackers like you're supposed to. They're instead letting Regents dictate their defenses here. And you see Trine opting into their timeout here, and I feel like this is the right time. You expect a 4-2 half at worst. If you go to a 5-1, you're really going to be in despair going into your defense. Got to make sure that you win this tertiary site that the last time you attacked it did not go well. So if you're trying right now, there's a few things you need to solve. You've got to solve the roam clear problem. You've got to solve the execution problem as well. They spend too much time on their drones right now. As normally I'm criticizing teams for the opposite thing. Is that you're not droning enough. You're not placing drones, but they're spending too much time on their drones. And I don't mean just with total time of the round spent. You always want somebody on drones, but they have too many people droning constantly. You have to follow the drones for them to be worth anything here. And especially with Cryptic, he's kind of been going off and doing his own thing. I'd love to see them put some support behind him, give him a drone in front of him, and enable him to pop off even harder than he has been already, just through teamwork, communication, and drone work. That's all they really need here to establish themselves at a 4-2 half.
Yes, and I completely agree with that assessment.
Attackers
We're getting
need to
back to the
locate and
round,
defuse the
trying
bomb.
off their timeout now, taking the full minute. We see the site once again in Trine. Once again, an interesting pick as that. It was
Bomb located by attackers.
honestly the round was kind of very back and forth. I especially with everyone just kind of running around willy-nilly once they got a lot of upstairs open. It's kind of interesting why they decided to opt for this side again and not go for library, which at least has less destructibility on the floor above them.
I don't even think it's less destructibility, right? You're moving it from mining trains to the entirety of reading. It's that you can defend the upstairs of reading a whole lot better because it's not piano, it's that cocktail side. It's a lot harder for attackers to clear into that space. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting that we see them come back here. They did lose the site, but it was close, as we said previously. I feel like part of why they're coming back here, though, is because teams aren't really comfortable attacking the site. It shows up so rarely that if you're comfortable on defense and the attackers aren't comfortable, it might give you the advantage that you need to win a tertiary site out. But now we get to see Trine adapt. They've seen this site before. They're bringing out new operators. They're bringing that zero, and I actually really like this. It gives them that flank control that they haven't really had previously, but they're solving a problem that doesn't exist. Regents aren't flanking, they're just roaming comfortably, and this doesn't really help with the roam clear, but the Jackal does. So if they're able to pick up the tempo here, get in the building with relative ease, and actually start clearing out these positions that you see the Azami playing in, they might stand a better chance.
Yeah. As we see now, the Azami is setting up a very similar defense as to when they were playing third floor site, except now, that the site is on second floor. Fuse putting cluster on the window. Interesting play, potentially to flush someone out of there. In all honesty, it's lucky he didn't get shot when they heard the window break.
Yeah, but the fact that the cluster charge does go out means that Azami can't play piano anymore. All of the Azami barricades that were set up are just gone in an instant, and that's really the power of the fuse. So very nice use of that utility, and it lets Trine into the building, which is something they've kind of struggled with previously. They're swinging in on Heaven now, too. That's a bad idea, man. You've got no support on the rest of the map, and, well, Down in Smoke is now down and out in this round. They understand where the Azami's positioned now, but it doesn't do you a whole lot if you can't swing coordinated on it. Sly grabs a second and is taking gunfights towards Nubel. He's just oozing with confidence right now.
Yeah, getting those two picks, completely isolated with not a lot of team support to get those trade outs, that's very, very beneficial to Regents right now. As we see, McThunder Dave, the Zero, taking a little bit of damage. Sly getting a kill on Cryptic. Sly getting a kill on Tato. 5v1. Sly on for the ace. Playing upstairs was 100% the right call by him. Now he's on Diffuser, holding Diffuser, and it looks like it's going to be a pretty easy round for Regents with less than 30 seconds left.
You know, this is such a cafe round. The site's mining, dining, but we haven't even looked at it the entire round. It's just been upstairs and them struggling to clear out Sly. They know his position. They're going to try and give him the ace, and Sly gets it. What a confident play from this guy here. He's been kind of struggling to get the Azami to work. His entire setup gets destroyed, and instead he just plays a solid roam game. That's really where Trine we're struggling this map so far, is just dealing with those roamers, and now they've got a mountain to climb in front of them, a 5-1 half. They are moving to the more advantageous side now, but they've got to win 6 in a row if they want to avoid overtime and just win the map outright in 2-0. But Regents are definitely putting up a very good fight, and with that competency level on defense, I expect them to be competent here on the attack as well.
Yes, and as we know, Trine actually was the one that chose this map, so seeing them kind of play very lackluster, going down 1-5, perhaps it's time to figure out a new favorite map, at least out of the ones that they were able to pick, because this really doesn't seem to be working out for them. As I said before, Cafe is defender-sided. It very much could go completely opposite here, where, defense once again wins 5, but this time it's Trine as opposed to Regents. But it'll be really interesting to see if, the game ends up going into overtime, maybe 7-5 Trine, or if Regents just end up closing out the last 2 rounds 7-1 and having a pretty humiliating defeat for Trine.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if it'd be humiliating. They had such a strong half that, like, even if at this point they just kind of fall apart, you got to give that more to Trine just being successful and mentally coming back into this game than Regents falling apart. But yeah, they're bringing completely different operators here from both sides, and I love to see those differences. And I'm going to highlight this because I think it's very important. They're bringing a hard breacher for upstairs. You have to do this. You cannot clear piano without opening up a red wall. So just bringing that extra bit of utility is a very nice touch, as well as McThunderdave on the Maestro. Not an operator you get to see a whole lot these days. It's a very fun one to play, but kind of lacks the scope and the presence that he used to have in the game. Just a little bit too slow for the pace of the game nowadays. So a very fun little treat to see the Maestro get brought out here. And the Flores as well. Yes, I love to see this operator from Regents. You get so much control over these Azami barricades, and you can dictate where these defenders are allowed to play inside piano.
Yeah, and as we see, Azami once again setting up the site. This time it's not getting destroyed by Fuse, at least. Perhaps Flores sending a drone in could potentially get 1 or 2 of those barricades down, but looks like they're able to pick off all the Rotero drones that have been thrown in so far. As we see, Azami's patching up more holes, holes they made with Hard Breach. It'll be interesting to see how that affects their play. Azami getting picked off, upside down repel by Sly with the sledge. That could very much determine if they're able to get into top floor or not, because now they have 2-3 people on the ceiling, and Trine only have 1 person playing upstairs now. Sly getting another kill. McThunderdave, the Maestro, going down. 5-3. Maestro having that utility, having the cameras. While the team can still use the cameras, they can't use the zapping feature, and that could potentially do a little bit. Bubba taking a decent amount of damage. Cryptic Plague getting 2 kills, both headshots, on 2 of the players that jumped in 3rd floor. Swinging the round much more into Trine's favor.
Yeah, it's just
3-3.
It's just an information and speed game, man. These members of Regents are just too slow, but Sly's got great aim, able to capitalize on a known play, but Cryptic is just denying these angles through Freezer, through bathroom. They don't have control of the building despite killing everyone in piano. They didn't take the space, and they're getting punished for it on the clock now. It's just LaCroix. If any member for Regents was going to win this round, it would be him, but the clock is not in his favor, and he's taking a little bit too long to start walking out here. He does win the gunfight against Spore, but now all Cryptic has to do is hide, and he'll do just that, try and get their first win on the board for defense, and it's a good start in the right direction for them. It's 5-2. They still have a ton of distance to cover if they want their way back into this game, but that's how you start it off, 1 round at a time.
Now, I've got to say, with the sledge play right there with Sly, as he went up to melee the Maestro cam, his hammer just completely destroys it, just takes it off the defender's thing. So the Maestro, when he came to melee, all the Maestro had to do was look away, and that's exactly what he did. I don't see why he didn't use the hammer to get rid of that utility that ultimately could have made the round just a little bit easier for them.
It's a very micro play there, right? It's when you pull out the hammer, there's a delay putting it away, and he's confident that there's a member who's playing off of having to try and swing off the information. So if you take out the hammer, you're guaranteed to die there, so you're trading yourself for a camera. So it's just a little bit of a min-maxing play. They're trying to give himself to deny the utility as well as keep his gun alive in the round, and he was able to kind of pivot off of that and kill the player that was peeking. So it's a very interesting micro decision there, but I kind of like it overall. I mean, realistically, you'd want to just throw a grenade at it, but they didn't have any left. They were throwing too many of them into piano to try and uproot the Azami. But we're heading downstairs now, and wow, what an operator lineup. I don't think I've seen this collection of operators on the site in a very long time. Specifically Rook getting some love. Not an operator that shows up too frequently, but if you take a look at all of the health bars for Trine, you'll notice they've got some extra little coverage there. They've got more health than they should, and that's all due to Rook giving everyone an extra 20 HP as well as the ability to res themselves. So it should be fun to see that. But the setup that they're bringing out here, they're all on site. This is kind of what we saw Regents do in their first kitchen defense, and it's the one they were closest to losing. They didn't lose it. They were able to clutch it up in the end, but you really need to explore the map as defense here. You can't let the attackers get comfortable on the upstairs because they'll just rip up everything that you have set up.
Yeah, and once again, they try the upstairs play as they've been doing, uh, or as they did the first round. Kind of interesting to see the Flores completely separate from everyone else. Punching the barricade as opposed to using a Rotero drone to potentially save that utility, but just being completely isolated with everyone else up on the top floor. I'm not sure that's the right play here, because Flores can provide some very valuable utility, but you need the intel, which he can provide the intel to his team, but that's not going to be great when they're 2 floors away from the site and he's right on.
I do like, though, that he's kind of playing it passively, right? He's not walking in the building and aggressively trying to just make a solo hero play. He's sitting outside using his utility to just be a distraction to these members of Trine. They now have to be worried because they know that he is out there, despite the fact that he's not in the building. You can see the Brook, McThunder Dave, playing out the coat check, has to be worried about it at all times because at any point he could just pop into the building. LaCroix falls, though. Cryptic exploring upstairs. They weren't roaming, but this man just kind of takes the operandum into his hands. He walks upstairs, he grabs that opening pick, and now he kind of has an inkling that some members have jumped into Christmas down below, but he's not able to get the exact read, and Sly trades him out, and that's a very powerful member of Trine off the board. Really the only member of the team that's going positive so far, and McThunderdave falls as well, so this outside space around the site falling, and this nade's going to land right on top of Tatbro. He's got to move out of the way, and he does successfully, not cooked enough. Down in smoke, able to trade out and stop that rampage from Sly that he's been on so far.
As we see now, it's a 3v3, quite an even round. Flores still playing a little bit more aggressive now, but still playing somewhat passively, knowing that someone's on that window. As they get the attackers down onto first floor, though, they can very much pinch this defender, which they seem to be trying to do, but Anxiety actually taking quite a hit as he goes in. With 15 seconds remaining, Thunderbolt down. It's starting to look pretty grim for Regents on the attack. Freezer and ends up Tato Bro and that one Spore getting the last 2 kills. Giving Trine another round.
What an interesting round. Regents kind of overthought themselves. They got a very solid opening in the round. Sly opened up the space around site, and because he got those kills, they rotated off of their initial push plan. They brought Buck, they brought Thatcher, and they did not establish vertical control of the site, and that's a little bit concerning, right? They completely abandoned the initial game plan because someone skipped a step and got them control that you'd expect at the end of the round early on. And it kind of baited them into doing that. These members should not be falling for that, right? You've got to, in the playoffs, you have to be confident in how your style of attack works out there. So there's just a little bit of reviewing that they need to do there and just make sure that the members stick to the actual attacking plan and don't bait themselves off of it. We see Trine now as well, opting into mining dining instead of reading. Very interesting game overall. This is a site that normally gets picked once in a blue moon, and we've seen it 3 times so far, with a 50% win rate so far. So Trine gets to dictate whether this site in particular will be defender or attacker excited today, but a very treat to see this from both teams now, as we can see a different style too. They've brought the pulse, they've got an extra nitro cell plus information, so Trine really kind of showing that they're wanting to contest piano from below, which is not what Regents were doing on this site.
Yeah, and as we saw last round, Regents, it ultimately came down to time. Time was their limiting factor, and time is what ended up getting them killed. So, to see if they push a little faster this time, or if, once again, they take their same method of going upstairs full roam clear and not having a lot of time on site. I guess we'll figure out and see which is the right play here. He is putting the cluster charge on the window, trying to flush out a zombie, which he's able to flush her out and get most of those zombie barriers destroyed, with the zombie not shooting up in the window in time. As Thunderbolt drones, not seeing anything yet, but places drone in a very powerful spot in case anyone tries to rotate back to piano. They look just under 2 minutes. They look as they're about to be dropping into the building.
Yeah, they're starting to get a move on. They've done their time making sure that they're going to be able to drop the hatches successfully, as well as Sly sneaking up the brown stairs. But this is where we start to see the problems with mining really come in. Sly's shutting down these rotates that we saw Regents really play around, and with the piano space cleared, they don't actually have to clear the rest of upstairs. They have the verticality that they want. These members on Trine are going to have to get aggressive and try and retake upstairs if they want to limit the destructive capabilities of Regents. I love the position that Cryptic's in here too, though. They've left this wall soft because of the position that Cryptic is in. It really helps shut down the actual site push and denies chances to plant in these like little sneaky locations out in mining, and it's going to kind of force these members of Regents to actually push through the site. Where's the vert, though? They've got upstairs control. They have a sledge. They have a fuse. They're not verting. Regents, you've got to start verting and moving these players around. They're just allowed to exist in train, and you're burning your own time.
It's, yeah, with 1 minute left now, just under a minute, as they start using the fuse, but not really doing much as nobody's really playing in train. As they start to push down, they said they still have 4 players upstairs now, finally pushing down white stairs with 40 seconds. I believe time is going to be their limiting factor here too. Just kind of seeing what it is. Maybe it's time for them to reconsider going in from the top of the building. And we see the first pick. Tato Bro picks off Thunder Valve, and then LaCroix swinging. Bubba, however, gets the trade on Tato Bro, but 2 for 1, that's very good. And with Trine only needing to defend 15 more seconds.
15 seconds to go.
Anxiety getting a kill. Down in smoke, killing one, downing another, and that one's 4, ending up getting the final kill, giving Trine the victory. It is now 5-4 in favor of Regents. Trine are very much closing that gap.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to highlight just how they're getting ahead here, right? It's just that Regents are too slow. They've getting themselves established upstairs, and they don't know how to convert the pressure upstairs in the building down into the site itself, which is a very worrying sign on a map like Cafe. We kind of said that a 4-round deficit was a hard hurdle to climb, but Trine are doing it so far, really showing a mastery of their defenses, even winning out a site like Mining Dining very comfortably too. So they're very much so in this game. They just need to do what they've already done again, and they've made it at minimum to overtime, and they're in a very solid spot here too, and they're forcing Regents to now try and react and adapt into the setups, and some of these adaptations I'm not a huge fan of, specifically the Grim. I don't think Grim is the solution to the problems they're having here. The Ying, I think, is. Right? That is an operator that is very much so going to help you out here, being able to use those Candelas to clear piano out, and that's the name of the game right now. I want to see Regents be confident, open up the walls that they need to, use Ying's utility into piano to establish presence there before they start trying to work their way into the site.
Yeah, as we see right now, honestly, the Grim, I kind of like that pick. They had played a decent bit in the first game, and attempted to work out relatively well. They were able to ping a few defenders, potentially get a few kills. It'll be interesting to see whether that, ultimately helps them or hurts them. Grim also has a good gun with 2x scope, so potentially only playing Grim for the gun as well. It'll be really interesting to see. As we see now, they're repelling on windows, shooting up a tiny bit, just hoping to get a lucky pick from the tops of certain windows. Azami once again playing in the piano room.
Oh.
This time, they're not really flushing her out. They're more so going for white stairs. LaCroix actually on the bottom floor, intending to push up away from the rest of his team, going for that pinch, that kind of close-in. And it'll be interesting to see if LaCroix can actually get some picks, because he's been kind of a lone wolf for a lot of this. So it's very potential he could help get a few picks and ease Regents into the win here.
Yeah,
But with the Regents only having half the time of the round left, we'll need to see how quickly they decide to play.
Yeah, they've got only half the round left, and it really feels like they haven't done anything. Look at how many Azami barricades are still existing in Piano. They have yet to destroy a single one of them, so Tate Bro just in a very strong, solid position there, although he did close off his exit, so he is committing to this play, but it doesn't matter, because, you know, Regents are the ones who have to clear you out, and there's just so much utility for them to go through that they can't really be decisive about it. Cryptic as well on the reflank here, kind of challenging bottom red, and these tags coming in, just barely missing the head of Sly there, not giving him the kill that he got previously. And the smoke's now coming out from heaven as well, and the Yin Candelas as well. They're just going to try and drop Skylight and hope for the best. The Nitro tags a ton of players out here. They're still not pushing through the building. Tate Bro takes the initial gunfight for his team, but he doesn't claim much of it. Sly getting tagged down as well. These guys have to move forward. They're able to clear out Piano, but there's so many angles ahead of them now, and they only have 30 seconds to do it. So the pressure is on them, and you can see it kind of mounting in the way they're moving. They are picking up the tempo, and that tempo walks Sly straight to his death. Cryptic grabs one back for Trine, eating out as a 4-4, but the clock drastically in the favor of Trine here. These members of Regents have the world in front of them. There's so much utility, so many players. They're able to find Cryptic, though. That player lurking up from behind is no longer a problem for them, but there's many players in front of them, and one of those is Thunder Dave. He grabs one back. They sneak in, and they're trying to plant on default, but the boxes are open. Just look through your own utility. You open the box. You don't have to peek wide, and they're able to get the plants on the ground. Spore now, the only member left from Trine, a little bit botched there on the execution handling. He's going to pick up his friend Dave here, trying to make it a 2v3, but their health, a single bullet from any of these attackers will take them down. They're trying to reposition, but their own Azami barricades now getting in their way. This flank as well from Dave, you don't have time to go for this. You have to just commit to the site with your teammate, trade each other out, and try and win some of these gunfights, but he's committing to the flank nonetheless. Up red, it is called. They have information on this, so Dave is just going to go down here very quickly. He grabs one for his trouble, but his known quantity anxiety not checking him, though. That's a little bit of a mistake there, and he gives Dave a second. It's now just Licro, but if he's got the clock down, Spore doesn't have time to win the round, and Regents up to match point.
Now that, getting down to the last 15 seconds, looking very, very good for Trine, but Regents able to get the plant off, even with the boxes open. You're supposed to open the boxes to get that hole in so you can stop that default plant, but they just didn't use those to their advantage. And that's ultimately what I think lost Trine the round, not using what they had prepared.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly it, right? You open the box to give you the angle onto default plant from bathroom, from freezer, two positions that Regents did not contest. And the fact that they weren't able to make such an easy conversion there is a bit worrying, but they've shown some solid defenses so far, and I think part of that too comes down to Regents just reading the late round very well and some very strong heroic plays from Thunder Valve, using that Yin utility to burst through the site. So they've brought it back here, as well as the Buck and Sledge. They're doubling down on vertical utility, so this time they better use it, but they've got that execution utility once again, and I think that's a great read. Trine haven't picked Warden a single time, so you know that these smokes and you know that these Candelas are truly going to hit their mark against the members of Trine during the execute, so you should be able to work it through.
Attackers are moving to defuse the bomb.
And honestly, now that they're on first floor site, I do kind of like this setup. They're no longer barricading off the small kitchen, and they actually look to be playing a little more aggressively. Trine is now holding the site, not necessarily with roaming, but just holding a lot more angles in sight, because as it looks, they're all on site realistically.
Yeah, no one really roaming here, and this might be a detriment here if Regents actually play to the operators that they brought, but if you look at their positioning, they're not. They're instead opting just for a direct first floor take, giving up the vertical presence that they could have, and I think part of this is just because Trine hasn't established any presence around the site. You talked about how they were just kind of all in sight, and that's pretty true. There's just 5 members in sight when they're kind of being baited into this too. If they just go upstairs and vert, all of these members are susceptible to death from above, but they're also susceptible to just bullet to the head. Thunder Valve, grabs the opening pick in the round on Dave.
As we saw there, it looked like an interesting play. The Cade actually seemed to be Cade tricking the freezer wall, which honestly could be a very good play here, because that seems to be where a decent amount of them were pushing. It'll be interesting to see kind of how it affects the round. Once again, Sly is throwing a nade into Oh, and gets taken out by a Nitro. Big return to sender right there. Send in one explosive, another one comes out and gets the pick. We are now into a 4v4 as Sly goes down. LaCroix, the Buck ending up getting Cryptic Plague. That could really turn around their favors. Cryptic is the only player on Trine going positive. Buck now taking engagement in Freezer, seeing if there's any way that he can get another pick. And right now, everyone seems to just be holding angles. With 1 minute left, you can. Anxiety getting a pick on Down in Smoke. Right as that one, Spore gets a pick on Thundervalve. LaCroix getting another pick on Tato. It is a 3v1 in favor of Regents. Anxiety getting the last kill. And that brings it to a close. Regents win game 2.
A very good attempt at a comeback from Trine, but it was just not to be. They kind of got read like a book after that initial site rotation, just using these execute-heavy operators to really pick apart the defenses from Trine JV kind of beautifully there. So we do get to go all the way to a map 3, and with these teams playing like they are, that doesn't necessarily surprise me. They've both been kind of at each other's throats here, so it should be a fun map 3 when we get over there. But we've got a little bit to talk about here too. On the meantime, they've got a break for the players, and I think it's kind of a time to digest what's happening with these two teams, right? Because we see, especially in that map of Cafe, right? Regents had a stranglehold on the first half, then we saw Trine really come into their own for a bit. So like, what changed, right? We saw both teams really struggle to maintain time control on their attacks, right? So they really need to just understand how to get in the building, how to do clears, and what operators help you do that. Some of them are banned. I will give them that, right? Doki's gone, you can't do that. Gridlock's gone, you lose a bit of flank control. Jackal still exists. Lion still exists. Using your drones properly still exists. And using that utility to gain control through the map properly and then set yourself up to use execute-styled operators like Ying is really going to show how you win this game, right? You've got to have good time control. You've got to have good execution standards when you're going into sites, especially on Cafe, and especially to the map that we're going to go to after our quick break, Clubhouse. Should be a fun map 3. We'll see you in a couple minutes.
Yeah, in all honesty, I think Regents ended up getting their mojo back. Trine just couldn't cope with those last 2 rounds. And in all honesty, they both played very good games. It just, obviously, it has to go in favor. It was very interesting to see first map being very, very close on Oregon, Trine narrowly edging out a win after a 1v1, 8-7. Regents getting a 7-4 on Trine's map, though. I'm very curious to see how it will go in Clubhouse, because it could really go either way.
All right, we're going to head over to a quick break, though, so don't go anywhere. Take about 5 minutes, run to the bathroom, and then we'll be back for map number 3 very shortly.
Festival van Beats.
Welcome back to Midwest R6 Regents versus Trine Junior Varsity. We've got ourselves a Map 3 Clubhouse, and we're not going to waste any time. We are about ready to start the game right now. So Clubhouse, a map that has been played time and time again as we get loaded into the lobby here. It's like the classic map of Siege. You think of CSGO, you've got Dust 2. You think of Rainbow Six, we've got Clubhouse in Oregon, and we're going to Clubhouse right now. And this is such a fun map because of how stylistically different this map is between teams. You've got SSG rooms, you've got site anchor holds, you've got so many different things that can work if you play your identity on the map, and that's what we want to see here between these two teams, Lucas.
Yeah, I completely agree. I do think that this final deciding map, both teams are going to give it their all, and it's going to be very interesting to see if it's defender-sided, attacker-sided, kind of even. Once again, Regents going with the gridlock ban. Banning gridlock, honestly, it seemed to work out for them map too, as they cruise to a 7-4 victory. Now we go to Trine's attack ban, and they end up, I believe it'll be... Oh, it is not the Dokkaebi this time, it is the Ying. That was a very beneficial pick for Regents on their attack. So it'll be very interesting to see how that affects the gameplay.
Yeah, I think it's a good ban, but it does lose some value because this is Clubhouse. Ying is just a little bit less valuable here, as well as the Vigil. Very interesting ban. Not a commonly picked operator, especially on Clubhouse. This is actually one of his better maps. I'm sorry I misspoke a little bit there, but he can hide out around, and because of how his device works, it projects up but not down, so you can roam mid-floor and project the presence upstairs, as well as Solus. So two very powerful roamers being taken off the board, as well as an execute operator. So Regents, a lot of their comfort kind of has been removed. We saw them thrive on the defense with little lurking plays on roamers with these execute style operators. Now that that's gone, as well as Dokkaebi being left up in the game because of those bans, it's going to be a very different game of Siege than what we've seen in the past two maps.
Yeah, and we also see Azami is being left on the board now. Clubhouse, I would dare say she is probably the most powerful, if not one of the most powerful ops, specifically on Clubhouse. Up in the rafters, Azami can put all those barriers and get pixel angles on the doors. There are very many angles that she can put her barriers on and just make it so much harder for the attackers. So I think it's a good pick that Sly end up grabbing Azami, and I'm curious to see how she will affect the overall gameplay.
Yeah, I mean, she definitely has some value. I think it's a little bit oversold, especially on this map. The Azami barricades and rafters can end up hindering your defense significantly more than people are willing to give it credit for. You lose a lot of angles, and you lose a lot of variability when you place the Azami barricades. It becomes very linear how you can play it, but it is difficult to clear through if you're uncomfortable with it. I think it's also worth talking about, we're starting on CCTV. This site has fallen off heavily in terms of priority for teams, mainly because it's not very defender-friendly. It's got so many problems with this site, and we're going to see Trine go for one of them right now, and it's this external breach. It is near impossible to keep this shut in modern Siege. You just can't do it, and well, they forgot to reinforce one of the walls, so it's going to be opened incredibly quickly here. The Osa coming back out for Spore. We know how much he loves that operator, and well, here is a map that the Osa absolutely shines on. These Osa barricades are just going to provide extra pressure on these balconies and just make it more trivial for trying to establish these angles through sight that already have split Regents as a team in half. Sly now is just an entirely solo player. His team cannot help him unless they run down red stairs and just play around swamp.
Yeah, and well, like I said, the Azami, I figured she'd probably put a few barriers in Garage, and with Sly now being the solo player there, it makes sense that he would put a few of those barriers there, as now they can't really do much from inside the site in terms of taking it. So having Sly get those put those up really adds a layer of defense. LaCroix getting a nitro kill on Cryptic. As we saw, Cryptic was really the standout player for Trine both games, so getting that early pick could definitely swing this round to Regent's favor.
I love to see that we're finally seeing Trine start establishing presence in the building. You can't win this site just through the breach. You use the breach as an auxiliary angle to your main push, and we're starting to see that push take shape here as Trine works their way in for a construction site to take into cash. They've blinded out this Jaeger hiding out in the corner. I think they know he's there, and they're able to get the kill. Myth Thunder Dave trades one back onto Bubba to get a 4v4 count, but they really need Tato Bro to start opening up this cash wall. You need the extra angles, or else you just let players play their angles, and Anxiety does just that to get the kill back. Spore gets one off the breach. This is that auxiliary angle I was talking about. They now no longer have to worry about Garage because he overpeaked, and you can't contest this balcony. It's just too powerful of an angle. So now Trine has a little bit of space to work with, but they got low health, and Thundervalve's going to capitalize on that, taking out Spore, so no more Osa shields on the board for the side of Trine. And with Tato Bro falling down as well, it's now just down in smoke. The Thatcher, not really an operator you want to be left in this situation with, and he's going to fall to LaCroix as well. Very little bit back and forth round one going the way of the Regents.
As we saw there, the Aruni obviously had the MK14, so did Dokkaebi. We saw the battle of the MK14s, and ultimately Aruni came out on top, and I think that's kind of what spurred the victory, as those last two kills after Dokkaebi, both were at least in part due to the Aruni there. One Aruni getting the kill, the other one Aruni distracting while Thatcher tries to find a different angle, and Valkyrie swinging in for that.
Attackers need to locate.
Very,
and defuse
very
as many bombs
good
as they
plays
can.
by Regents to win that round. Of course, especially with CCTV being not a defender-friendly site. So, and one that Trine really should have done a better job of attacking.
Yeah, coulda, shoulda, woulda, but what's said is done, and Trine's kind of got to wake up a little bit here. We've seen their attacks start incredibly one-dimensional, and then they kind of realize they need
Attackers
more
have
angles, and they
discovered the
rotate
location of a
around.
bomb.
I'd love to see them just come into the round with a full understanding of how to attack it, especially on a site like Basement. This is the hardest site to
10
attack
seconds
as
left
an
before
attacker
insertion.
on Clubhouse. It is not in question. This
5
site has
seconds
so
left.
many variables to it. You've got an entire building where roamers can run around in. You have hatches plus
Attackers
vertical
objective
play you
is
have to
to
work
defuse a
around
bomb.
that doesn't clear the entire site, and so many auxiliary angles that you have to take control of, specifically blue. It is such a hard task to get a competent attack going here for the attackers, and now they've started down a round. They've kind of fallen asleep just a little bit on round number 1. They need to wake up fast to get this round under control, and it's going to start with this kitchen hatch. This is probably like the most common place that we see the utility game at Siege come out. They're going to use the IQ, locate this kite, electrical, use the EMP devices that OSA has brought to help Tato Bro get the hatch open, but Tato Bro sitting on this repel, so he's going to slow them down just a touch because he's not in position to open the hatch. They're going to rotate out to it, but now the EMPs are rotating out too, so they're just juggling utility in all the little bit wrong spots, which is just costing them extra time.
Yeah, we see Spore going with the OSA play, Cryptic going again with the IQ play. And I think the IQ play is very beneficial here as they can see all of the, you know, like all the valve cameras, all the cave claws, basically anything they want through the floor, and be able to eliminate those as they make their push. There's a very strong valve camera that you can get from Basement that I routinely do if I'm playing Basement with Valkyrie, and with what they've done, they very, very easily be able to eliminate that. As we see here, Cryptic is already right outside of sight, barred only by an Aruni gate. It's going to be very interesting now that they have one in dirt, one in blue, and then one in the hallway, because then they could. My apologies. The one in blue is the crow, so they wouldn't be attacking from there. But having attackers from multiple angles would be very, very beneficial to them. You know, being able to spread out and have more push.
They've got a minute left on the clock here, so they're going to have to get a move on. They don't really have any space that can test the site directly here, and with Sly's position upstairs kind of being tagged out here as well, they force him downstairs. It's a good find to push him out of position, but they don't have any executable space yet. They've got 40 seconds, and so many players just sitting around trying to figure out how to make this execute work, and this is what I was talking about before. They know step 1 to a T, and they can't find step 2 to 3. It looks like Spore wants to go in here through Church, but they don't have blue control. They have hatch control, so this site attack does not work. You have too many side angles to worry about, but it looks like Regents are going to be able to capitalize on that. Sly grabs the first one of the round very late into it. The wide swing from Spore is able to trade it back out, but they have so many members just stuck in moto. All it takes is a single defender to just identify what's happening here and punish them for it. This run up from Sly is going to do exactly that. Finds 2, drops the diffuser. Now it's just down in smoke versus 3. Has to recover the box. He's not going to be able to do it, and the defenders win round 2.
I love seeing the kill cam, the Aruni over there, or sorry, the Izami over there crawling behind the Osa shield to hopefully not get completely killed. Keep that death off the record. But yeah, once again, you said it perfectly. It came down to time and them not spreading out the push enough, and ultimately they paid the price by losing the round. Having blue control would have been good. Even having dirt control would have helped them a little bit. But all they did was a very linear push down main stairs, and realistically, you can't continue to push linearly, especially once you figure out it doesn't work, which we've seen in not just this map, the other maps too. Pushing linearly does not work. Neither team can push linearly against the other and expect to win. That's just not how it's been going. So they really do need to spread out that, as you said, they really do need to spread out that push, and they need to figure that out earlier into the round rather than later. Otherwise, they'll end up continuing to lose these rounds
5
and
seconds
basically
left
gift
before
Regents
insertion.
the overall match.
Attackers are
Yeah, I
moving
think
out to
the
locate a bomb
one
and
of the
defuse
reasons
it.
I'm most concerned about it is this is Clubhouse. It's not a new map. There haven't been any serious changes to this map in years. Like the last major change in quotes this map had was that they raised the height of B2 in basement to be to the ceiling. That's it. That's the change that we got. And like that's not game changing. So like the attacks haven't changed. How you approach the sites haven't changed. If you have an idea of what you want to do and where you want the plant to go, early in the round you should be able to solve these problems. If you want to take Church through Moto, that's fine, but you need Blue as well. And it's just they're skipping steps and they're being punished for it. And now we're attacking Jim as well. And despite this site being relatively 50-50 between attackers and defenders, it's incredibly technical on the attackers. You need control of the space that Thunder Valve is in right now. You have to contest cash. It is not optional if you have that wall open as a defender, which they do. So they have lines of sight from cash all the way through to Jim, so the windows are denied from long angles. They've got castle barricades as well as Bubba in bathroom. They are very well anchored through the site. You can't just work your way in through the breach in windows and expect a comprehensive round to come out. You need more angles, and if you don't have them, the Crow is allowed to sit in the middle of Jim and gun you down on the breach. He gets the opening kill on Trine.
Yeah, and on this site, basically, you either got to take over Gym or you got to take over Construction. There's no in between. If the attackers can't get either of those, there's absolutely no way they're going to win this round. And going through Cash is a very good way to do that. However, they don't seem to be making much progress in that sense. As we see now, Anxiety slightly injuring himself with a impact, no more than 5 health though, so he's probably fine. Creating that rotate, a little bit of an interesting play, kind of get around, but also with someone on top of Logi Hatch, they could very much use that to their advantage to take control of Construction. LaCroix playing in Construction right now. Ace dropped it to Logi. I think we're going to be seeing a firefight here very soon.
I mean, we've got to see a firefight coming soon, but it's going to be one directionally favored again. They just have the breach open and Spore hanging out on the windows, and this is where we get to see that cross pressure really shine. Down Smoke's able to kill the Crow as well, just walking through the breach, finds Anxiety, who's just kind of caught with his pants down there in the bathroom, not really expecting him to just walk into the site, but with the clock ticking down, that's exactly what they do. And if you look at Regents 2, they've given up their own map control despite not being pressured off of it. Thunder Valve strays too far off of his position, and it allows Spore to start planting. They've got Sly underneath the site. He's able to cancel the plant just from that phantom pressure down below, and he still holds on to that Nitro Cell. So if Bubba's able to call this plant out just audio-wise, maybe they can get the Nitro denial, but Bubba's going to fall. The Nitro does come out, but they have so much time to work with, and it's just Sly. They're planting visible from the hatchman. Hop up on the billiards table. You can see it. The wall floorbangs are going to have to come through if he wants any chance of winning the round, but he can't get it. Now he's going to retake up main stairs, and this is the wrong gun to have in this position. Roni is great for isolating 1v1s and taking fights on your dictation, but the attackers are able to sit back and make you come to them. You don't have enough bullets to take fight back to back to back. You see there, he wins one fight. He has to reload and drop down to try and isolate a second, but the clock is now ticking against him as the plant is down, so he's got to go for this retake very rapidly. There's so many angles now that the attackers on defense now can go for and play around because the site's so open and Trine are able to convert around. They really shouldn't have won. Well played to them to get themselves onto the board, but now they've got to pick it up and start winning the sites that they were destroyed on previously.
Yeah, and as we saw there, it's very much a case of, do you take Construction? Do you take Gym? On this part, they decided to go in Gym side. They got the plant down. They got everything worked out. Those speed holes actually working very much in favor of Trine to get one of those picks through those holes.
And defuse as many bombs as they can.
It comes down to that what happened in the last game. Don't make things if you're not going to use them, because they can very much be used against you.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw a very, very prevalent example of that in that last round.
Yeah, I think that's a great way of putting it, right? Like, Regents opened honestly a very solid defensive setup, but then they just didn't play it. They opted into those 1v1 gunfights that honestly, I would give them credit for kind of avoiding on the previous maps. They've done a wonderful job so far of playing their positions. I'm thinking back to LaCroix on Cafe when he just hid on the cab and burnt out the clock. If they just did that there, Trine did not have the pressure to win that round, but good on trying to be able to capitalize on those mistakes coming out from Regents, but now they've got to win a site that they really didn't look that competent on previously. We're going back to CCTV. This is a site that should be attacker sided on paper if you look at it, but we saw some struggles coming out from Trine, so hopefully they're able to fix those. I think part of that too, right, we talked about it a bit, they need to rotate off of this main breach faster. You're not going to win the round through main breach. It's just extra pressure towards site. So if they're able to just open this wall up, leave Spore on the balcony to let him do his thing on Osa and go find more angles faster, I think we'll see a much better round from Trine.
Yeah, at this point we see Anxiety once again playing their Rooney, playing the stairs. Will Anxiety be able to get more of those picks now that they assume that they'll be playing there again? It'll be interesting to see, but Anxiety played that really well, so the first round, even when they knew Anxiety was playing there, Anxiety was still able to get to one more pick after their first kill and distract the last opponent to secure the round win. So it'll be really interesting. I do think Anxiety is very strong at that site and knows how to play it on those red stairs. But if they can get that early pick, that could spur them on to victory.
Yeah, it could, right? And I think we're actually seeing Trine move faster now. They're in the other side of the building before 1 minute left on the clock. They're getting themselves pushed up here. So if they're able to do their jobs, we should see the construction wall get opened pretty quickly, as well as Tato Bro actually here in the position on time. This is not something he did previously, and I really love that he's here already, as well as the rest of his team for support. Osa, interestingly, not going for the bug. If you put an Osa shield in an Aruni gate, it does break the Aruni gate. So I'm a little bit surprised that they don't go for that there. But this construction wall open now, they actually have a solid execute lined up, but Thundervalve grabs the opening pick for the side of Regents once again, just kind of dancing around this bomb. Not really a safe position. His feet could get shot out if Cryptic goes onto the angle, but he's playing it rather well here, just kind of dancing around, making sure he never stands still and gives Trine the chance to pick off his feet. 50 seconds left now. The clock's starting to tick down, and well, Trine doesn't have anyone on that balcony that they opened before, so these members of Regents really have freedom to kind of go wherever they please on the site here as well. So they've got this freedom, and you see LaCroix kind of exploiting that freedom. He's on the roam right now, and he's going to time it perfectly so that he shows up behind Trine as they start walking in. And if you look at the pockets of Trine, they have no throwable utility. They can't flash or smoke anything off. They just gotta go for frags, and Thundervalve and Cryptic do just that. But now LaCroix shows up behind them, and he denies that main breach. They can't walk in there now, and Bubba shines as well. It's just Cryptic, and he can't find the Crow. Regents take a solid third round.
That was kind of interesting play. Valkyrie jumping out, hopefully get a kill, jumping back in, but getting detected, knowing where Valkyrie is, and still Valkyrie, spinning around with Valkyrie still being able to get that kill. I just think that was very good gun skill by the Pearl at that point. That was potentially teammates were using the cameras. They did have one dead teammate, potentially giving them calls and stuff like that, but just a very interesting play overall.
Attackers need to
That
locate and defuse bombs.
obviously the jump out didn't work, but going back into construction did. So it in a 4v1, I mean, you can afford a little bit to get kill thirsty, but you don't necessarily want to, if that makes sense, because getting kill thirsty doesn't really help your team. And if too many people get kill thirsty, you could bring 4v1 down to a 1v1, which I've seen happen far too many times in ranked games. Of course, I am a silver, so usually a lot of kill thirsty people there. But anyways, now we're on basement site. 10 seconds left in prep, and they seem to be doing a very similar prep as to what they did last time, making rotate holes, reinforcing off blue
Out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
B site, however, keeping church, having a rotate open. It'll be interesting to see if Trine actually tries to get this blue control, or if they push very linearly like they did last time.
Yeah, I really hope. I kind of wish that Trine had taken a timeout actually coming into this round, because without that timeout, right, you're just kind of guessing at the things that you need to fix, right? You could have taken a minute now to slow it down and figure everything out, and I think they haven't, and I think the operators kind of give that away, right? They're bringing the Nomad, they're solving a problem that didn't exist in the previous rounds. They didn't lose their basement attack to roamers. They genuinely did not, and they're solving problems that didn't exist now, and they're bringing out operators like Fuse that aren't going to give you value into a site like Basement. He does not have the presence on the site that you'd really want to like enable you to pick this operator. Realistically, he's here for 2 smoke canisters plus a great gun, right? So you get some in that comfort in that space, but you don't really get the presence that you expect out of Fuse.
Yeah, especially with the defenders not really playing too hard on B site. That's really the only destructible floor, so with not a lot of defenders there, not a lot of utility there, Fuse's cluster charges aren't really going to work out on that site whatsoever. So it's good to see the Fuse pick, but only when you know you can use him. Having Ram there, once again, a lot of destructible floors, but only on one site. And since a lot of the defenders are playing the A site in Church, the vertical play that they've spent a minute and a half working on isn't coming to fruition because there's nobody there.
Yeah, I mean, it is coming to fruition, right? Like, this is what you'd expect out of the Vert, and they didn't do the good job roam clearing, and despite bringing the Nomad, they lose the first pick. But, like, this is what you expect out of your clubhouse Vert. They've actually got the Vert successful. This is what you do. You use Vert to clear out armory to get the extra pressure, but they haven't established themselves around the building, and it's letting these players like Sly, like LaCroix, run around and just pick members off one by one. They're able to get a ping onto LaCroix, but LaCroix right now is just firing on all cylinders and grabs himself a 7th kill in this game, pushing him to 7-1. Now it's just Tato Broen down at Smoke, and they have no presence to work with. They've just no map control here from Trine. It's like they've waged everything on that Vert, acquiring them the round victory instead of establishing the map pressure, and with LaCroix firing like that, you feel like you've got nowhere left to go. Not just Tato Bro left here in a 1v5, kind of unwinnable, especially as Savannah. You don't have the right guns for the situation. I would love to see him just sit on the staircase for 20 seconds, talk to your team, try and figure out what's going on, because it's very clear from our perspective that you're having problems with communication and understanding how to construct these attacks, but you've got to work together as a team, talk to your teammates, and get it done. And I love that they're taking their time out now. You've got one chance now to get a 4-2 half. You've got to make the best of it.
Yeah, Valkyrie dropping down that hash, just kind of knowing, having the map knowledge to know where a lot of those people were. It's very telling, in my opinion, how just if you have the map, not like, because this wasn't as linear of a push, I would say, because their people were a little more spread out, but they were still pushing the exact same angle, the exact same time. They just had more picks up a little bit higher as Regents just kind of knew, they tend to do a lot of the same pushes. They're pushing linearly. Let's get our picks a little higher up so they have less people going into the site. So it's just, knowing this, I don't understand why they continue to push the same ways, because maybe they've done it in practice, I don't know, but if they do a push once, twice, and it doesn't work out, because as we saw, it was very, very separate rounds, trying not winning either by a pretty sizable margin. You would really think they would figure something else out and try to push a different way or spread out, but that just hasn't really been the case. It hasn't been the case of this game, and that's something that they desperately need to fix if they want any chance of winning this.
Yeah, the linear takes, and it just kind of looks like they're. How do I phrase this? It feels like their attacks are structured around getting ahead off of the defender mistakes, right? They're not playing in a way that's progressing themselves towards a plant. They're playing in a way that's setting up favorable gunfights should the defenders choose to opt into them. And what we're seeing is that Regents are just not opting into those gunfights, and they're really punishing Trine JV for it. So what I really want to see them do now is just have a take. I don't even care if it's a rush at this point. Do something, commit to something as a team, and just force your will upon the defenders. That's the name of the game for the attack, right? You need to set the pace and force the defenders to abide by it, and they're not getting that kind of pressure right now, and instead they're letting players like LaCroix, like Sly, just sneak into positions and never really contest them off of it, despite them being in the power positions you need to clear to win the sites.
Yeah, and in all honesty, as you were saying, a rush, it very much could work. I see it in virtually every level. A lot of teams can't cope with rushes. They're still setting up. With communication and stuff, if they spread out a rush but all push from different sides, it's very easy to get multiple pinches and just not, and defenders generally cannot cope with it. It does look like they're pushing from a lot of other places now. Cryptic, as you saw, getting the pick from Gym Window onto Thunder Valve. The Bandit, who was Bandit tricking the wall, now they have that open and have another angle. It's nice to see that they are like, okay, blind ear pushes aren't working. Let's try something else. Let's spread everyone out and see if that works. And as far as we see right now, it seems to be working pretty well for them.
Yeah, they get the opening 2 picks, and it's definitely more confident. They're actually kind of punishing Regents for some of their setup mistakes too, which is good to see, that they've recognized that the balcony is not actually contestable for Regents, and that they're letting them execute through the balcony and just put the plant on the ground. Regents not aware that Spore is in sight there, and while the impact's coming out, it looks like Sly's going to try and retake the balcony, something he should have done earlier on, but he's not successful in doing so. Now it's LaCroix in Anxiety now in a 2v5, and this is the first time we've really seen Trine have a strangle hold on an attack. Even the previous time they attacked here, they didn't look this good. Cryptic now firing. They've got this round in the bag. There's no way LaCroix gets back to site in time to kill 4 people and grab the diffuser. So a much needed sign of life here from Trine and a much needed warm-up for Cryptic. They've been in this exact situation before on map 2. They weren't able to convert the 5-1 half. They've got a 4-2 now. So 1 round better, and they've got the confidence now going on to the defensive side to hopefully keep this momentum going and give us a more exciting game from them.
Yeah, and as we saw, the timeout must have really helped them. That must have really been the defining thing where they're just like, hey, we figure out what we need to do. We're no longer pushing linearly. We can spread out the attack and actually figure this whole thing out. And as they did, they spread out the attack. They started attacking faster and everything, and it ultimately worked out for them. They won the round, and it wasn't close at all. It was 4v1 when they got the final kill. So it's really nice to see.
They did manage to get a 4-2, so I will give them some credit for that, right? They've got a decent scoreline, and what we would expect out of a defender-sided clubhouse. This map recently has been pretty attacker-sided, but, obviously the stats globally and the stats in tournaments don't matter when you're in the game, right? It's however this game goes is what the map is here, and if we do see a defender-sided clubhouse, Trine's actually in a pretty okay spot, despite them being down 4-2, and they're choosing to start Gym. This is the site that we saw Regents play as a tertiary, and if you look at the setup from Trine, it's very different, and it's much closer to what we'd expect out of a competent setup here in terms of being able to convert this site into more of a primary site, which is what we're seeing out of them. So I do like this setup. There's maybe small nitpicks that I could throw out here, but they've set it up in a much more cohesive way to be defender sided, which is not what we saw out of the Regent setup, right? We saw them set up a ton of holes throughout the site and then not play around it. They've got the manpower in the correct positions, as well as bringing out Fenrir, an operator that Regents didn't pick at all despite being available. So they're making the changes necessary to try and win this round out.
Yeah, and the Fenrir pick could very much be a game changer. Cutting off those angles cutting off the line of sight as they push in, it could be very, very bad for Regents on attack if they're blinded and then just end up getting killed immediately, as Fenrir is known to do.
Disabling electronics.
They've been playing the mirror window on the bathroom. Interesting play. Not a terrible one, especially with the ball open. But I'm interested to see how that plays out.
Yeah, it should turn out pretty well for them, since Regents did not bring any ranged hard breach, instead of opting into solo thermite play. So this mirror window will be up the entire round, and it's going to let Spore completely deny this breach, which so much time and utility has gone into opening. So this is not actually an available attack to Regents, despite them having it open, and Bubba is going to grab the opening pick onto that hallway, despite the fact that he's visible to the mirror window right now, just not getting swung on. Very interesting decision there from Spore to let his teammate die there, and Sly as well is just going to grab one on back onto down in smoke, and he's established control through the ceiling hatch and just establishing himself through Logi now. So these members on the defense are going to be really struggling now. They've lost so much auxiliary space around the site. They see members like Tato Bro just kind of walking into the middle of construction because they know they need to get space back now. They've got to start taking these aim duels, and with these members on the balcony as well as Sly's great aim, it's not able to work out. So now Spore, the only member that's truly on the site, falls, and now Thunder Dave has so much in front of him. He's trying to play his way around the balcony. That punch should give away his position, but that wall reinforced, he can't actually affect the site. So Bubba's going to get the plant down. This 1v5 retake, most likely not doable. He's going to grab one, get himself onto the board, and get a start through this clutch attempt, but he's got so many angles. He's got Thunder Valve prone to his left. He's got Sly to his right. He's going to be walking into a 180 crossfire if he goes through here. Of course, you know, those Fenrir devices do manage to blind Sly and take away that ability for him to play as aggressively as he'd want, but he's got to get a move on now. The clock just ticking away from him. This is an unwinnable round, but you got to at least try it here. You're down 4-2. You really need this round if you can, but the clock eludes him, and it's going to be a 5th round for Regents.
Yeah, that play, I really liked it by Regents. Obviously, you know, having the plant down. As I said in the first game, it's flipping around the attack and defense sides. The attackers are now on defense, the defenders are now on offense, and it's very. I guess it's just very telling. A lot of times when the plant goes down, I don't think we've seen a round in this game where the plant goes down and then they disable it. I don't think
not
there's
in the
been
entire series, yeah.
Yeah, so getting that plant down can honestly be a very crucial point, and I think both teams do a very good job of having the plant down, having the man advantage, not swinging, not pushing, not getting kill thirsty, just kind of playing it out like, you know, if he peeks me here, I have the angle. If he peeks over there, my teammate has the angle. You know, just kind of holding those angles, holding places where they may push from, and being able to get the kills.
We've got a 5-2 round now. They're heading down to the basement, which is a site that we haven't seen these hackers win yet. So a very strong site here for Trine to be defending. But I'm going to go ahead and say that this is the do-or-die round for Trine JV. It might not be the end of the game if they lose here, but physically this game becomes so difficult to win if you need to win CCTV and gym and basement and then a CCTV again after this. The rotation, if you go down 6-2, is just not in your favor, so you really need to win this round to give you those extra opportunities to convert above, and they're bringing some utility that we haven't seen out before that I really want to highlight, specifically that cap can. I love it. Regent's drone game has not been strong. They're not bringing IQ. Bring the cap can. It punishes those two pieces incredibly effectively. You're able to get damage sprinkled across the entire team if they don't clear you out properly. There's a heavy commitment here from Regents to dirt, which is not really an angle you want as an attacker. This is not an angle that's going to win you the round. It's extra pressure if you're going for a hatch drop, but they haven't contested kitchen at all. There's Gillette electricity and the renegade on the hatch. They're rotating into it now, but the Valkyrie information gets the opening kill for Trine.
And that's taking out the Crow as well, who has been a standout player, 11-3. So that could very much switch around to Trine's favor. Especially basement being, you know, very well protected, very well defender-sided. It seems Trine is playing a little bit more in the armory as opposed to what Regents was doing, where this vertical push may actually have a little bit of, might actually come a little bit to fruition, getting 1 or 2 picks. But as we see here, there's only one person really playing that vertically. Everyone else is starting to push in their own ways. They are spreading out the push very well, though, and I think that's a very, very good thing. I think that's something that will definitely help. But just with the amount of angles that Regents are holding, or amount of angles that Trine is holding, I'm not sure Regents is going to be able to get the picks they need. Thunder Valve taking out Cryptic, bringing it to a 3v4 in favor of Trine. We see McThunder Dave holding the stairway. Fuse is on.
They're trying to make this execute work, and they've got 30 seconds left, and they don't really have any executable angles. They're just going to have to try and run out of dirt and hope that they don't get collapsed upon, and that's kind of not what you want to do. We see Down in Smoke capitalizing on it. This is why you can't come through dirt. It is a single angle that multiple members can look at from different positions. It is impossible to walk out through. Thundervalve from Mainstar is doing immaculate work, though. Actually manages to work his way down before Sport shuts him down, but now it's Anxiety. No time left, and Tato Bro shuts him down. Trine win their first defense to get a 5-3. So this is still a live game for them. They're not in desperate measures just yet, but you've got to feel like there's so much pressure on these Trine guys. You make a mistake and you could end up losing the round and consequently the game here for your team. They're heading over to CC. They're not going back to Jim. I do like that change. Jim did not turn out very well for your team. Try something different, but CCTV has many problems that we've talked about before, and we're going to need to see Trine circumvent those problems, notably without bringing the Azami. As much as I'll criticize the Azami for restricting angles and making Garage play very linear, it does make Garage safer. And unless these members on Trine are very comfortable playing the round rafters with that Wamai, we could see them falter in Garage. And once you lose Garage on a CCTV defense, the site falls soon after.
Yeah, and as we come into round 9, we see that they're playing cache CCTV. Once again, interesting pick, not necessarily a good site for defenders. It's I believe this started being not the favorite site after Impact EMPs came out. However, it seems that both teams are doing pretty well playing it. So it's just kind of interesting to see a site that you don't normally see too much in Pro League being a pretty popular site for both teams. It looks like we're having Cade play the Red Stairs this time. Seeing if he can hold as well as Anxiety did back when Regents were on defense, but that remains to be seen. Down in Smoke, placing a shield over by Red Stairs, giving Tato a little bit more protection. And it looks like Regents are going to be going for a big wall take.
Yeah, they've got some interesting movements coming out here towards CC, right? We've seen both of these teams not go through Garage, which is, I think, one of the reasons we've seen this site be very defender-sided. Well, I guess if you team kill your team with a Thermite charge, that's one way to make it defender-sided as well, as Thundervalve goes down. So there's no Fuse pucks coming out this round. Honestly, not a huge loss. It is the Fuse. There's not a whole lot that he can provide on this site. But yeah, we've seen both of these teams going for these construction cache-sided executes, and honestly, those are difficult. I'm not going to lie. They're very hard to do. You have to time CC breach with your construction push, plus using your utility to come through with it. And if you look at the utility that Regents brought, they have not actually brought the correct utility to make this specific style of push work. So if they do end up winning this push, it's going to be because they outgun Trine, not because they've out-stratagemed them, not because they've out-maneuvered them. And, well, Cryptic is going to outthink the members of Regents there. Nice Nitro up the hatch to deny that. They get a tag onto Smoke playing around the cache bomb. Not able to convert anything off of that. But yeah, then when we get to this measured part of the game where Regents are just slow. They don't have anything working for them. It's just Sly on their primary attack directive without the diffuser. The diffuser's out on breach, and he can't walk that diffuser into the bomb chassis because they don't have pressure in Garage, and Tato Bro's going to kill the only member off angle. Bubba's all the way up. Where's this member in Garage? You have to shut down that angle. They know he's in sight now, and Alibi's going to be able to shoot him on the diffuser, so now it's just Anxiety out on the breach. Too many lost variables that just kind of got lost in the sauce here. Regents losing control of this round very rapidly, and no pressure towards Garage at all. Just members out towards construction. They didn't unite the push, and they get punished here horribly for it. It's not just Anxiety to try to convert this round around. It is doable. It is a 1v3. It's hard, but the clock continuously ticking away. He's got to try and isolate these 1v1s. The member of Garage is prone, so he does have a chance right now to take a 1v1 on red, and he's got to go for it. The clock is just slipping away from him here. He doesn't spot the player through the shield. He does there, backs up instead of taking the fight. It's kind of a mistake. You've got to watch the clock here. Gets tagged, his position known, and he just walks past this member in Garage who can just swing behind him at any point. He does grab one. He grabs two. That's two players on the ground. It's now just this player in Rafters. He can go for a safe plant. This isn't it. He could get wallbanged if they have information, but he gets off the plant now, so he's going to have to be planting into extra seconds, which should spell the end of the round. Gets off to try and win the gunfight. That's the right call. Not in the correct position, though. Bad guess there. An excellent attempt from Anxiety, but a round one for Trine.
Now, right there, knowing he had not a lot of time, in all honesty, potentially winning the gunfight could have been a good call. But I think in that position, especially when the guy could very much be behind server racks, I think you've just got to get the plant down and stick it. Especially with the time being that low, because if you get off, you may not be able to get the plant down again. Especially with a pistol, because he had run out of bullets in his primary, and the other guy still had his primary. So I really think he should have stuck the plant there, or at least tried to, and saw what to do from there.
Yeah, I mean, you clear out Cash, you know the last player's rafters, you got tagged by him, you know the last player killed him. You just plant behind the green box in Cash, and you know that the player has to vault through the window, so you're given an audio cue of when the push is coming. Plus, at that point, once the box is already 2 seconds down, you're guaranteed it on the ground. You get the swing, and you know that the only fast track to site is through that Cash CC door. Like, it lets you isolate so much more if you just go for the safer plant in that position. But it was a really good attempt by Anxiety. I do appreciate that he actually did go for it too, right? Like, we saw him hesitate a little bit at the start, maybe talking things over with his team, but he did go for that round. They know how close they are to winning this series and making it to the round of 16. So it is important that you do try these things, right? It's not CSGO. There's no economy to worry about. Every round is not over to the last man falls. So I do appreciate Anxiety for going to that. And now we're heading to Gym, which is a site that we saw Regents dismantle Trine on earlier on their defense. So now it's on to trying to shake things up. And I love the adaptations that they've made here. They brought the pulse out, which is not something I think Regents will be anticipating in advance. And this is kind of why it's not necessarily always a good idea to take a timeout in situations like this. And it's something that I see teams not consider, is that when you take a timeout, the other team gets one too, and it lets them find niche ways around your attacks. They know you're making adaptations because you've called the timeout, but it lets them talk things over as well.
10 seconds left before insertion.
Yeah, and I think I think they definitely did talk things over, just seeing how their site setup is quite different from Regents, or at least what they're doing. They're closing off Cash about as much as they can, having only one way to push through. And as I said, on this site, you've got to win either construction or you've got to win Gym. If you don't win either, there's no way you're going to win the round. And so by closing off Cash, it makes it so much harder to get into construction without the doorway into Cash or the window into construction, and that very much could do wonders for Trine if they're not able to get
it's
that.
not even necessarily that the attackers want construction. They actually want the Cash space, right? The player in Cash, if you open up the wall, has line of sight on every window jump in, as well as at any point he could swing out into CC and contest the balcony. It is such a powerful position to play in as a defender, and that's why you want to remove it for the attackers, because having Breach open here is nice, but you can't win the round through this Breach. You're walking into just an L hallway that you can be shot at from either direction. With this mirror window here, you know that there's a player looking at you at all times, so you're never comfortable walking in, especially with a Ying Band. You can't blind this player off. You've got to just throw utility at them instead, and Regents don't have the correct utility to clear this spot, so you see them start moving. They're trying to find extra angles. They're getting onto these windows because they know that they need to find extra angles to apply pressure through, but this is where we get to see the setup from trying to actually shine, is if they just contest the windows without clearing these two members out by Cash, they could at any point in time get shut down if these members get curious and start exploring in CC. Because right now, if Tato Bro opens that window, the fuse is dead. The diffuser is dead in the water outside of Gym window, and the round's basically over for Regents. But instead, Sly's just going to drop into office, and he's spotted out by this pulse. They don't know that he's on cams right now, so we could see the Nitro come out, but he's already spent it. He's pre-placed it underneath it, not able to get the kill because there's a hard wall in the way there. He's not quite familiar with the reverse vertical angles there, and the fuse cluster charge getting the opening pick on the smoke could spell disaster here for Trine.
Now, something I noticed is that Trine actually ended up castling off the Gym door, which I don't think was the right play here. I know they have the holes, but they don't seem to be playing them nearly just like Regents. They're not really playing the holes, and that could end up letting Regents actually jump in the Gym window, and have some space to wreak some havoc. As we see, Sly now is already planting the diffuser, likely in Gym.
Attackers activating diffuser.
It's already down 2v4. Diffuser's down in gym, and they weren't using those holes, and now Regents have those holes that they can use.
Yeah, there's so many post-plant angles here that Regents could be hiding in. I mean, there are some rotation paths that we see Trine using, working their way in through Logi Office to try and attack towards this breach, but the breach is open. Players could be on the main stairs. There's so many options for where Regents players could be hiding out, and if you look at them through the walls, they are not moving. They are not giving Trine anything, and Trine is already out of time. They cannot win this round, even if Thunder Dave just held it onto the diffuser. Regents get themselves match point on map 3.
Yeah, seeing a 6-4. This is something we saw on the last map. We saw it was a 5-4. Trine started coming back, and then Regents won the last 2 rounds as Trine stayed at 4. Are we going to get a repeat of that? I guess we'll find out. With the pick phase, it seems Trine are going for a little bit different. I see the Warden play now, which I find a little bit interesting, considering they banned the Ying.
Defenders, protect your bombs from being defused by
But
attackers.
and I haven't seen a ton of stun grenades go out to blind enemies. So I think it's kind of interesting playing the Warden unless they plan to say spawn peek or something along those lines. But I'm interested to see how or if he will impact the round, whether it be positively or negatively.
Yeah, this is going to be a rough round here for Regents too. They've looked very comfortable on their gym attacks, but this isn't gym. We're back into the basement now, and this is the first time we saw Trine win a defense. They looked very well put together on their defensive half, so there's a lot of pressure now onto Regents to make the changes necessary to make this execute work, and they've got the tools to do it this time. This is something that we need to see out of the team. We need to see them work together and collectively put together a comprehensive push that will work. I'm not looking for individual gunfights, winning skills. I want to see players in the correct positions to actually execute onto the site, which is where you get Warden gets value, right? You throw flash grenades and things like that, but they've only got 3 flash grenades on Habana. So the Warden, yeah, you talked about it maybe not having a ton of value. I kind of agree. It's not the right situation to bring that operator out, but Regents have all of the tools in their pockets to make a comprehensive execute work. They just need to put it together now.
Yeah, as we can see, based on utility, Regents have a lot more utility than Trine does. However, Trine also does have 3 nitro cells, 1 pre-placed, 2 still in the pocket. And nitros, as we've seen, pretty much every game, there have been at least 1 or 2 kills with a nitro. So potentially, could that influence this round? I definitely think it could.
Yeah, it almost certainly will. That's a ton of damage onto their only hard breacher here. They do have hard breaching charges in the back of Anxiety, but those are not ranged hard breaching utility. And if you want to push down towards a church, you really want that utility. I love LaCroix's positioning here. He is contesting blue early, and his team is coming to join him. This is not something we saw Trine do, and it's the one piece that they were really missing on their attack. That nade sends the player out from behind generator. They've got blue control. They have the sight hatch open. This is an actual execute getting set up, and I'm getting excited for it. Regents putting the pieces together now to actually win the round here if they're able to walk down these staircases plus time it with the hatch, but they've kind of abandoned that kitchen hatch entirely, so it's going to be a one-direction linear push through blue now, but this is much better than walking down main stairs. There's so many more options for you to choose, so many opportunities that you have as the attackers to take control of a round through blue that you don't have when you're going down main. The Fenrir charge is coming out now too, a little bit aggressively placed, so they don't actually get any value out of that gadget. Tato Bro as well, sitting here at 1 HP, just kind of hoping that he doesn't get contested. And the hatch is actually closed in kitchen, which is why we see everyone here through blue, so they don't actually have any extra pressure here. LaCroix taking some chip damage. These flashes come through, the Warden can turn his goggles on, and they're just walking into crossfires because they don't have any extra pressure. Beautiful shot there from McThunder Dave, just denying everyone walking up through blue, and now it's just LaCroix. Strike that, it's just Anxiety here in a 1v4 to win win this round, and it's going to be rough. He's got 20 seconds and a 4-way crossfire to work his way through. I'm willing to chalk this up to not possible. We've seen this man in particular come so close to winning these clutches before, but he's going to let the clock time out instead and give Trine their 5th round. We get 12 rounds in regulation, and with how Trine's looked on their defenses, specifically of Basement and CCTV, we're pretty likely here to go to an overtime unless Regents are able to shake things up.
See, it's something I noticed. The execute was going down. The team came around to join, who was it, LaCroix? That we saw going down basement stairs, or blue stairs. But they all pushed together. And as we have noted before, that is not something you can do. Yes, have someone go down and have your team wrap around. Don't have the entire team wrap around. Maybe put 2 more guys there and send 2 through dirt or 2 down main stairs. You need to get those pinches off. You cannot have all 5 people pushing one spot and expect to win. As we've seen, both of these teams cannot put all 5 of their attackers going one spot and win a round. It has not happened a single time they've done that.
Yeah, I mean, we were so close to having Regents put together probably the most standard basement attack that you can have, which is kitchen hatch and blue. Those 2 pieces together, if you're able to acquire the kitchen hatch being opened with 2 players contesting blue, even walking down it, your chances of winning a round go to about 90%. It's so hard as a defender to contest the armory side of sites, like the AKs, B2, B3, when you have a 90-degree crossfire from the attack set up against you, and you have players flashing their way down hatch while they're walking up blue. They are so close to putting that together, so I'd love to see kind of that style of comprehension come out on CC, because this is a site that we've talked about that normally has about, I believe, in the major right now, it's about 60 to 70% attacker win rate, and we have yet to see an attacking team win this site. So I'd love to see Regents put that together. They were so close to winning previously. Anxiety pulled out an incredible clutch attempt to get close to winning, but they've got the tools and they've got the opening pick now to get themselves all the advantages they need on this site.
Yes, and Cryptic actually not doing as well this game, going 7 and 10. A little bit less of an influence than I would have expected, judging by how well they did. LaCroix cooking a nade, sending it up to rafters. Potentially going to get the pick. I'm not sure. Looks like they were able to avoid it. We see main breach is open, and we have 1 or 2 players contesting it. However, as you stated before, you cannot win a round on the site just by playing main breach. So I find it good that they're attacking other sites, but now that they've used half the time in the round, I think it's about time that they have 1 or 2 people kind of come around, go somewhere else, push in, and hopefully pinch a few of those defenders if they want to get out of this game without going into overtime.
Yeah, it looks like they're wrapping around for another construction-sided attempt, but if you look at their pockets, they don't have the utility go for this specific attack. They need to just understand that you can contest Garage. We've seen teams at this level just refuse to set foot in that place, and if you just learn how to attack Garage, this site becomes so trivial as an attacking team. And Sly's going to grab a second. That's actually the Rafters player. They've cleared Garage, and if they're able to recognize that, they've already won the round. You put 1 player on Rafters, and suddenly this round is wide open for you to win, but they keep putting more bodies and more pressure around this construction area, so they're just trying to hold these angles and restrict Trine from moving, but Trine doesn't want to move. They want to stand still, and you have to disrupt them, and that's what we see Thunder Valve do. He grabs the pick, and we see a default plant happening for the first time on CCTV. The cross angles are good, and it's now Tato in a 1v5 to keep his team alive. He's got so much left to do, unable to rotate downstairs to get the nitro off. He's got some yellow pings coming in from his team, but he's got too many angles to check, and LaCroix cuts him down. A flawless final round from Regents to win CC for the first time on attack and win this best of 3 to go to the round of 16.
That was a very good game. I'm glad that I was able to cast this one specifically, because you just saw a lot of good gameplay. There was so much happening at every point. It was very easy to determine whether the attackers, defenders were going to lose, kind of based on how the attackers pushed, how much time they had, and everything. It was just a very, very good game to watch. A very, very good game to even learn from. And congratulations to Regents going on to the round of 16, and Trine JV put up a very, very good fight.
Yeah, congrats to the Regents. We're gonna actually have their captain, or at least one of their players, in here to join us with an interview in just a few minutes. But while we get that set up, we're gonna head to a quick break. So thank you guys for joining us, and we're gonna have an interview with the players. So if you want to kind of know what was going on behind the scenes, please stick around, and we'll have that interview for you shortly.
Festival van Beats.
Welcome back. We are here with our post-match interview with the victorious team Regents. Congratulations to yourself. I believe on the mic we have with us Thunder Valve. Thunder Valve, how are you guys feeling? You just qualified for the round of 16 in Midwest R6. It was a close series, but you guys came out on top. How are you guys feeling?
We are feeling phenomenal. These three map games really get our energy high, and so coming in with a win like this and moving into a round of 16 feels amazing.
So, after the first round, because your guys' map pick was Oregon, after Trine narrowly edged you out, what was kind of the vibe of the room? What were you guys thinking?
You know, it was a reset. It was an entire mental reset. We had gone into Oregon thinking that it was going to be not as close because it's our map, right? We thought Cafe would be the struggle map, and so when we got into it, it was those little mistakes that really caught us, especially towards the end on those overtime rounds. So when the game ended, we just said reset. Let's make sure we're cleaning this up. Let's make our attacks much more precise and our defense is even cleaner. And that's what we brought to map 2 and map 3.
Yeah, speaking of those attacks, we did see kind of both you and Trine Junior Varsity kind of struggle a little bit on the attack. I mean, we were playing a pretty defender-sided map pool here, but I just kind of want to know, as a player and as a team, how do you guys deal with the fact that you get these advantages on your defensive halves and you kind of see it start to slip away when you get on attack? How do you guys keep yourself focused and able to kind of narrow down the mistakes you're making to make the attack runs?
As you mentioned, we are a defense team where our structure is a lot more cohesive and united on defense. So we try to get as many rounds as we can. And when we move into attack, we, like you said, we slip. It's those little communication mistakes that are tripping us up. And so our energy takes a little bit away from our skill, and instead we move it into communication. And we try to ensure that every call out we make is as clean and precise as it can be. Now, I'm sure everybody who's in the stream and who's watching, if you've played any collegiate Siege, you know that it never works out that way. But boy, do we try to keep it as clean as we can.
So, as we were talking about the map selection, with Cafe, did you expect it to be anywhere near, I guess, as one-sided as it was? And kind of what was the mentality after the switch when you guys went on attack and Trine started winning those rounds? How did you figure out how to kind of coordinate those attacks and end up with a 7-4 victory on a map that, maybe isn't your strong suit?
Cafe's sort of been our sleeper map. We've been working on it, sort of trying to build it up as much as we can. I can't say anything about the strats, obviously, but we've been working on it as best we can. And so when we moved into attack, I actually have to give all of the credit to two of our players, Lecro and Sly. They really took charge. They're our space makers. They are our gunners. So what they did for us is coordinate us and make sure that we were following with them whenever we needed to. There was a couple rounds where we were starting to split off a little bit, and they reined it back in and said, you know what? Let's not deviate from what we do best. Together, we can take the site and we can win.
Yeah, it's some very good mentality to have just for any team, especially in collegiate. You guys, as we did say, have won your ticket to the round of 16 here in Midwest R6. So coming up, you guys are going to be facing the winner of WMU versus Musk Varsity. And I was wondering if you guys as a team or you as an individual had anything that you just wanted to say to that game, to this bracket as a whole, or just the rest of Midwest R6.
You know what? This is our first time playing Midwest R6. This is our first year participating and making it to playoffs and making it past the first round of 32. First of everything, right? So I believe the next two teams are either MU or what was the other team, James?
WMU, yeah.
WMU, right? Now we've played MU. We played them in our Division 2 game. And we haven't played WMU. Huh? We played Muskegon. Oh, we played Muskegon. That is Muskegon. Oh, I'm sorry. That's the different Muskegon, the top team. Either way, I think Regents are really building. This has been a builder year for us, but as you can see, where we started off slow in the regular tournament, we are trying to bring as much positive and strong energy into the playoffs. And so we understand that there's absolutely skill differences throughout the entire tournament. And the way we're adapting is by being unique and finding new ways to structure ourselves that are maybe deviating from the standard.
Yeah, I love to hear that you guys are having that growth mindset and really just trying to identify how you play the game and just playing your style of Siege. That's great to hear for you guys. I wish you the best of luck going forward in this league and in the other leagues you guys are going to play with. That's all we've got for you today here with Midwest R6. Be sure to check out our Twitter for those top 5 clips, as well as just being able to keep up to date with our matches that are coming up. And maybe you'll get to see these guys as they progress their way through the tournament more. Regents, thank you guys for joining us. I wish you guys a great night. And to all those watching, have a great night.
Thanks, y'all. Appreciate it.